Lin Xingye had two potential marriage partners, one was me, the other was Su Tingru. The year we graduated, Su Tingru's family business went bankrupt, she went abroad to marry someone else, while Xingye and I ended up together. After marriage, we became known as the perfect couple in our social circle. Lin Xingye showered me with unwavering care, and I devoted my entire being to him. Not only did I raise two exceptional children for him, but I also helped him become the youngest self-made billionaire in the country. Just as everyone envied my picture-perfect life, I was diagnosed with cancer right before retirement due to years of relentless work. At the very moment I needed my family's support the most, Lin Xingye decided to divorce me and marry Su Tingru, who had returned newly single from abroad. I went from disbelief to coughing up blood while begging him to stay. He only cared for Su Tingru. Even transferring the chain of hotels I'd spent half my life building into her name. Even the two children I raised with my own hands told me to stop making a scene and let their father pursue his love with another woman. I was thrown out of my own home to make room for Su Tingru, then stumbled and fell down the stairs. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on my wedding day with Lin Xingye. I was walking toward Lin Xingye with my arm linked through my father's, but Lin Xingye, looking frantic, snatched the microphone from the officiant. A sharp voice brought the entire ceremony to an abrupt halt. All the relatives and friends stared at Lin Xingye in bewilderment. I watched coldly from the sidelines, knowing that Lin Xingye had also been reborn. He was willing to disregard the long-standing friendship between our families, the upcoming collaboration, and the astronomical dowry I brought. He could give up so much for Su Tingru. I would never stand in his way. I won't marry Ji Yunhe. This wedding is cancelled. Lin Xingye's urgent declaration sent waves of shock through the crowd. My father's face flushed with shock and anger. As he stepped forward to demand an explanation, I moved ahead of him, tearing off my veil and throwing it to the ground. In that case, I won't force the matter. Lin Xingye's face registered shock, but he quickly tore off the groom's boutonniere from his suit and strode past me. I knew he was rushing to the airport to stop Su Tingru from leaving the country. It seems he's determined to be with Su Tingru at all costs in this lifetime. It wasn't until that moment I realized the decades I'd devoted to him in my past life meant absolutely nothing in his eyes. All his caring gestures and thoughtful acts were nothing but hollow pretenses. Yunhe, stop fooling around with Xingye. Father Lin slammed the table in frustration. You must understand. The marriage alliance between Lin Xingye and myself isn't merely about two individuals starting a family. It carries profound implications for the substantial business collaboration between our two corporations. That's right, Yunhe. I've long considered you the daughter-in-law I always wanted. Mrs. Lin gazed at me with tear-filled eyes. Having lost my own mother in early childhood, I had long regarded Mrs. Lin as a maternal figure. But Lin Xingye abandoned me at our wedding in front of all our family and friends. There is no way I will ever have anything to do with him again. Clenching my fists, I declared clearly, thank you all for taking the time to be here. Please also bear witness that from this day forward, Lin Xingye and I will have nothing to do with each other, in life or in death, in marriage or in mourning. Mr. Lin wanted to salvage the situation, but my father reached out and stopped him. I will definitely drag that wretched boy here myself and make him kneel to apologize. Get lost. If Lin Xingye dares to show up, I'll break his legs. I'll find my precious daughter someone far better. The guests carried on eating and drinking as if nothing had happened. 01. I went back to the dressing room to change out of the heavy wedding gown and remove my makeup. When I came out of the restroom, I saw the makeup artist and her assistant huddled together gossiping. Oh my God. The groom fled his own wedding, leaving his extravagant bride behind to chase after his true love at the airport. I opened my phone, and the news alert immediately popped up. The footage from various angles was sharp and glaring. In the bustling airport, Lin Xingye held Su Tingru tightly in his arms, as if clutching a long-lost treasure. Even through the screen, you could feel their intense, inseparable bond. Soon enough, someone posted a picture of Lin Xingye leaving the wedding venue in the comments. The comment section immediately erupted into chaos. I thought it was a happy ending for the couple, but it turns out to be a cheating man with his mistress. The one who isn't loved is the real third wheel. I put away my phone and walked off without a second glance. The next day, when I went to the marital home to pack my things, the door swung open from the inside before I could finish entering the passcode. Su Tingru stood there wearing my red pajamas and slippers, tilting her neck deliberately to flaunt the vivid love marks. I wrinkled my nose in disgust. Take it off. Su Tingru recoiled as if startled. while Lin Xingye strode over with his phone in hand. Ji Yunhe, if you have any grievances, take them out on me, don't bully Tingru. Lin Xingye shielded Su Tingru in his arms, glaring at me with fury in his eyes. Our personal matters should stay between us. Why did you have to make your father pull his investment from my family's business? I stared at Lin Xingye with an impassive expression. Don't you know why my father withdrew the funds? That investment was part of my dowry. Since I'm not marrying you anymore, why would he keep investing in your family? Ji Yunhe, must you be so unreasonable? Lin Xingye cut me off loudly. The person I love is Tingru. That's an unchangeable fact no matter how you pressure me. If you don't want me to despise you, call your father right now and tell him to honor the contract. The Lin family's restaurant business has been suffering heavy losses over the past 2 years. Our chain hotel caters to high-net-worth clients, and I've also spearheaded the development of a new high-end personalized business dining program. In my past life, I single-handedly rescued the Lin family's restaurant business from the brink of bankruptcy and transformed it into a prestigious brand. It became a household name and was repeatedly promoted worldwide as a representative of local culinary culture. Lin Xingye should understand better than anyone how crucial I've been to his family's business. Since he chose Su Tingru, he'll have to face the consequences. Who you like or dislike is none of my business, I said, walking into the room. I'm only here to get my things. Stop right there. Lin Xingye blocked my path. If you don't get your father to invest today, don't even think about taking anything from here. I looked up, staring coldly at Lin Xingye, not wanting to drag this out. I called his father. Uncle Lin, could you come over when you have a moment? Lin Xingye just brought Su Tingru into the wedding suite. The moment I finished speaking, Lin Xingye slapped the phone out of my hand. Is tattling all you're good for? I quickly picked up the shattered phone from the floor, its screen webbed with cracks and completely unresponsive. Lin Xingye, what's the point of being so unreasonable? Out of respect for your parents who've cared for me all these years, I wouldn't abandon the Lin family in their time of need, but if you keep acting crazy, all bets are off. Lin Xingye froze, his lips pressed tightly together. Just as he was about to step aside, Su Tingru moved closer to him. Yunhe, please don't be angry. I know you've had feelings for Xingye since we were young, but we just couldn't help ourselves. If he hadn't come to the airport to find me himself, I would never have come between you two. Tingru, this isn't your fault. Lin Xingye comforted her, his face full of concern. I can't stand watching those two disgust me, so I tried to slip past them, but Su Tingru kept deliberately blocking my way. This house belongs to Xingye. What are you trying to take? You should at least explain yourself. This house is my dowry. Get out of my way, both of you. Get out of here right now. Guilt was written all over Su Tingru's face. Yet she stubbornly blocked the path. If you're going to be this meticulous about settling accounts, coming to claim your dowry, then what about the betrothal gifts Xingye gave you? I yanked the jade pendant from my neck. His gifts are right here. I'm taking back what's rightfully mine first. Shoving the obstructive Su Tingru aside, I strode into the study and deftly opened the bottommost safe. It's completely empty inside. I turned to Lin Xingye in surprise. Where are the things? Before Lin Xingye could respond, Su Tingru spoke up. I took them out to look at them out of curiosity and forgot to put them back. Let me find them for you. Who said you could touch my things? Nervously, I picked up the jade bracelet that Su Tingru had thrown into the trash. It was an heirloom passed down through the family, and my mother's keepsake. If anything were to happen to it, I froze abruptly, sensing something was off the moment it touched my hand. This isn't. I glared at Su Tingru. Where's my bracelet? What have you done with it? Su Tingru quickly hid behind Lin Xingye, feigning terror while shooting me a look brimming with smugness and defiance. I have no idea what you're talking about. This is exactly what was in the safe. I was so furious my vision started to blur. This isn't it. Give that back to me. Su Tingru cried out in alarm. Don't hit me, Xingye. I'm scared. Lin Xingye immediately grabbed my wrist. A sharp pain shot through me, as if the bone was about to snap. Ji Yunhe, don't think I won't make you pay for this. If you keep bullying Tingru recklessly just because you have elders backing you up, I swear you'll regret it. Lin Xingye shoved me away forcefully. I stumbled backward, my waist hitting the sharp corner of the table, and the glass bracelet in my hand shattered into pieces. You broke it yourself. Don't you dare try to pin the blame on me. Su Tingru hid behind Lin Xingye, gloating at me with smug satisfaction. I held up the object for Lin Xingye to see. If you weren't blind, you'd see this isn't my jade bracelet. Lin Xingye avoided eye contact and remained silent. I knew he would side with Su Tingru, but his level of defense still made my chest ache with suffocating pain. I hurled the shards at Su Tingru. This isn't over. Seeing I was about to leave, Su Tingru quickly slammed the door shut. Shouldn't you leave Xingye's things behind, with red-rimmed eyes? I turned to look at Lin Xingye. Lin Xingye pressed his lips together and turned his head away, tacitly allowing Su Tingru's actions. Will you take it off yourself, or shall I help you? As she spoke, Su Tingru moved closer to me and suddenly reached out to grab the red cord around my neck. I raised my hand to strike Su Tingru, but my slap was halted midair as Lin Xingye tightly seized my wrist. 02. With a sharp crack, Su Tingru's palm came down hard across my face the next instant. Lin Xingye stared at Su Tingru in stunned disbelief, while she wore a frightened expression. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I just saw her about to hit me and reacted instinctively. I never intended to actually strike her. Lin Xingye pressed his lips together, his gaze fixed on me as my face remained turned aside from the blow. You heard it too. Tingru didn't mean it. If you hadn't scared her, she wouldn't have slipped up. My ears were ringing so badly I couldn't make out what Lin Xingye was saying. Half of my face bore a clear handprint that quickly swelled and reddened. A sharp pain shot through my neck as Su Tingru yanked down hard, choking me so badly I nearly fell to the ground. But Lin Xingye was only worried I might hurt Su Tingru. He gripped my arms tightly, leaving me unable to resist as she forcibly snapped the drawstring around my neck, not content with reclaiming everything the Lin family had given me. She even set her sights on the gemstone brooch on my dress and the diamond studs in my ears. A sharp pain shot through me, not just in my ears, but a heart-wrenching agony that Lin Xingye would help Su Tingru humiliate me like this. So in his eyes, all these years of feelings couldn't measure up to a single Su Tingru. It felt as if all the strength had been drained from my body. Lin Xingye flinched when he saw the utter despair in my eyes. Releasing me abruptly, his lips moved soundlessly. Words failing him completely, Su Tingru's greedy eyes then fell upon the watch on my wrist and the designer bag slung across my shoulder. She swiftly snatched away anything of value. Finally, she stripped off my 60,000 yuan coat, and I watched in horror as she reached for my skirt. Tingru, Lin Xingye finally spoke up to stop her. Su Tingru stared resentfully at me, head to toe in designer labels. Xingye, I'm thinking about our future too. I remember this bag, didn't you give it to her? Since we're going our separate ways, let's make a clean break. You're all I have left, and I can't stand the thought of her using these things as excuses to get close to you later. Su Tingru grew more assertive with every word. Lin Xingye glanced at my disheveled state, then at Su Tingru's tearful eyes, and ultimately chose to remain silent. Name one gift you've given me that I haven't reciprocated with something even more valuable, I demanded loudly. The last shred of affection I held for Lin Xingye evaporating into the void of his silence. Lin Xingye, from this moment on, we are through for good, I stormed out, slamming the door behind me. To my surprise, Su Tingru actually came chasing after me. Ji Yunhe. You stop right there. Since you're so well off, why don't you help me out first, pay off my debts? Don't you dare run. Su Tingru closed in and shoved me hard from behind, sending me stumbling backward toward the staircase. I braced for the impact, but instead of the expected pain, I found myself caught firmly in someone's arms. I stared blankly at the person who'd caught me, Brother Lu. Lu Siming's gaze fell on my swollen cheek and bleeding ear, his eyes filled with heartache. What happened? Who did this to you? His voice trembled with anger as he sharply looked up at Su Tingru. Su Tingru flinched under Lu Siming's icy glare and shook her head frantically. Lin Xingye had just rushed out when Su Tingru grabbed his arm. Xingye, help me. Lin Xingye stared daggers at Lu Siming who was holding me, his voice cold and demanding. Lu Siming took off his coat and wrapped it around me. None of your business. Who do you think you are to question me? Lin Xingye was at a loss for words. He had publicly severed ties with Ji Yunhe at the wedding, in front of all the relatives and friends from both the Lin and Ji families, yet the sight of Lu Siming's arm draped around Ji Yunhe felt particularly grating to him. Xingye, who is he? I never knew Yunhe had such a close male friend before. I gritted my teeth at Su Tingru's sarcastic remarks. Lu Siming is the son of my father's former superior, 3 years my senior. When I was young, Dad often took me to visit the Lu family during Chinese New Year. Lu Siming was like a dutiful older brother who always looked after me. Later, he was admitted to an Ivy League university abroad due to his outstanding competition results, started a successful business overseas, and has been thriving in his ventures these past few years. The reason he returned this time was specifically to attend my wedding after hearing about my marriage. I never meant for him to witness such an unsightly scene. When did you two start sneaking around together? Lin Xingye's face was contorted with rage, glaring at me with fiery eyes as if I'd cuckolded him. Ji Yunhe, calling off the wedding must be exactly what you wanted. I was trembling with rage, never imagining that the man I'd loved for decades and sacrificed everything for would turn out to be such a despicable piece of work. He cheated with Su Tingru first. Yet he has the nerve to turn the tables and throw mud at me. Someone like him isn't worth your tears. Did he lay a hand on you? Brother Lu will teach him a lesson. Lu Ximing stood tall and broad-shouldered. Even through his shirt you could see the telltale signs of regular workouts, and his icy expression radiated undeniable authority. Upon hearing he intended to avenge Ji Yunhe, Su Tingru lowered her head and hid behind Lin Xingye. As Lu Ximing flexed his wrist, Lin Xingye's parents suddenly rushed over and shielded their son. Please, don't hit my son. Mrs. Lin protectively reached for Lin Xingye, but froze upon seeing my battered state. Her lips parted briefly, yet no words came out. She just guiltily averted her gaze. Mr. Lin was scolding Lin Xingye at the top of his voice, raising his hand as if to strike, but Mrs. Lin stopped him each time. My nose stung, and my eyes welled up with tears. I had long regarded Aunt Lin as my own mother, but compared to her biological son, I would always be an outsider. Not wanting to cry in front of all these people, I held back my tears and tugged at Lu Ximing's sleeve. Brother Lu, my phone's broken. Could you contact my dad for me? The jade bracelet my mother left me is missing. Lu Ximing not only helped me reach my father but also wanted to call the police. Mr. Lin quickly stopped him. Let's talk this through calmly. If there's any misunderstanding, we can resolve it ourselves. No need to involve the police. Making a big scene won't look good for anyone. Lu Ximing remained unmoved, seeing his indifference. Mr. Lin turned to me with a troubled expression. Yunhe, you know very well how well your uncle and aunt have treated you before. Why let things come to this? I bit my lip hard, and Lu Ximing looked at me with concern. I'll handle everything. You shouldn't have to suffer this injustice. I blinked rapidly, remembering how Lu Ximing had once warned me that Lin Xingye wasn't sincere about me when applying for college majors. I initially wanted to study mathematics, but Lin Xingye immediately claimed women naturally struggle with math. He said I only scored well on college entrance exams through rote practice, and that strategy would be useless in university. He suggested I'd be better off studying management instead of wasting time. That way we could be together, and I could take over the family business right after graduation. I followed his advice. When Lu Ximing found out later, he felt sorry for me for a long time and encouraged me not to give up if I truly loved mathematics. I hesitantly repeated Lin Xingye's words and started to doubt if I truly lacked talent. Lu Ximing was furious. He pointed out that I always put Lin Xingye's interests first in everything, while Lin never once considered my feelings. His choice of me was largely dictated by his parents' calculated interests. I didn't believe it at the time. I even defended Lin Xingye, saying that's just how he is, not good at expressing himself. Besides, his parents were always so kind to me, always saving me a share of whatever treats or fun things they had. Only now do I see clearly who truly cares and who's just pretending. Yunhe, I'm begging you as your aunt, even if our families can't be joined by marriage, there's no need for us to become enemies. I yanked my hand back from Mrs. Lin's grasp. 03. Those bracelets are worth 8 figures. If I report this to the police, that amount guarantees jail time. Hand them over now if you want to avoid me calling the cops. Mrs. Lin quickly turned to grab Lin Xingye's arm and demanded, where are they? Hand them over now. Lin Xingye scowled defiantly. How should I know? Su Tingru chimed in. Exactly. Who knows if she's holding a grudge and trying to extort us while she has the chance. You won't admit it until you're faced with the grim reality. Since you're so stubborn, I'm calling the police. Wait. Don't be hasty. Let's search around first. Mr. Lin shoved Su Tingru aside as she tried to block the doorway. With trembling lips, she collapsed into Lin Xingye's arms. What do you mean by that, uncle? Are you suspecting me? As she spoke, Su Tingru began weeping into Lin Xingye's chest. You can't possibly think just because my family went bankrupt, I'd stoop to such underhanded behavior. Lin Xingye's heart ached for Su Tingru's distress. With a stiffened neck, he redirected his anger toward me. If we can't find it, you must apologize to Tingru. Su Tingru shook her head. Let it be. I know my words carry little weight now. And my personal reputation and emotional distress are worthless. Who says that? I won't allow her to wrong you. If she dares to humiliate you like this, I'll make sure she pays a heavy price. Oh really? What price do you expect my daughter to pay? A commanding voice rang out. Seeing my father arrive, I could no longer hold back my tears and rushed into his arms. None of you are leaving until my wife's keepsake is found today. Both Lin Xingye and Su Tingru were cornered inside the house by the bodyguards my father had brought. My father patted Lu Siming's shoulder with heartfelt relief. We owe it all to you, nephew. I dread to think how badly Yunhe would have been mistreated without your help. Just doing what's right. Lu Siming gave my father a respectful nod. Now that you're here, uncle, Yunhe won't be scared anymore. My father ruffled my hair and spoke to Lu Siming. I can handle things here. Could you please take Yunhe to the hospital for a checkup? I knew my father didn't want me to face Lin Xingye and Su Tingru, sparing me further heartache. Lin Xingye watched me turn to leave with Lu Siming, his face etched with panic as he cried out, Ji Yunhe, this isn't over, you can't leave. I didn't look back. If I had my way, I'd never cross paths with that man again in this lifetime. The bracelet was eventually found in Lin Xingye's suitcase. A pair of top-grade jade bracelets were wrapped in his clothes and tucked away in the bottom-most hidden compartment. Lin Xingye stood frozen in place, his face alternating between ashen white and sickly green. Mr. and Mrs. Lin immediately rushed over to grasp my father's hands, tearfully pleading on Lin Xingye's behalf and begging him not to call the police. Lu Siming told me all this while I was browsing the school recommendation webpage he'd sent me. In the end, their uncle kicked the whole family out. Lin Xingye brought Su Tingru home. As Lu Siming said this, he was carefully watching my expression. I gave him a smile. Having truly let go of the matter with Lin Xingye, not only did I know that Lin Xingye brought Su Tingru home, but he also publicly announced their relationship on social media with great fanfare. Out of love for her, even though he knew Su Tingru had sticky fingers, he not only took the blame for her theft accusations but also repaid her debts, telling the Su family's creditors to come to him instead of harassing her. Get lost. It seems Lin Xingye truly loves Su Tingru to the very core of his being. At least this time I didn't waste decades of my life. I won't have to slave away for the Lin family anymore, and I can spend all my time doing what I love most. My father fully supports my decision to study abroad, and I know he also wants me to have a chance to unwind. I just never expected to run into Lin Xingye and Su Tingru at a luxury boutique right before leaving the country. I was flipping through the latest seasonal catalog in the fitting room. Su Tingru pulled Lin Xingye into the store and immediately spotted a bag in the display cabinet that caught her eye. Xingye, I really love this one. When we get married, I can't be without a decent bag, can I? Su Tingru cooed sweetly. Though Lin Xingye knew their financial situation was tight, he still hesitantly asked about the price. This bag just arrived from overseas and is priced at 240,000. It's already been reserved by another customer. If you're interested, we can put you on the waiting list. In the meantime, feel free to browse other items in our store. So this is what they mean by requiring a purchase history first. Su Tingru casually selected a few pairs of shoes and jackets, then picked out 2 keychains and a silk scarf. Mrs. Lin, who had just caught up from behind, heard the sales associate quote the price and nearly fainted on the spot, rushing forward to intervene. Let's not get these, we should go buy the 3 gold pieces first. Su Tingru pursed her lips. Buying gold is so tacky. Since it's my wedding, shouldn't we get something I actually like? Mother Lin explained anxiously, but gold holds its value better, and it's easier to liquidate if needed. The saleswoman's expression instantly shifted, her demeanor turning haughty. If you're not buying anything, please don't hold up our other customers. Who said I'm not buying? Is this how you speak to your paying customers? Su Tingru's voice suddenly rose sharply, drawing everyone's attention. Some even recognized Lin Xingye. Isn't that the one who chased after love at the wedding? Ah, is this the woman he's chasing? She looks so plain. What does he even see in her? I remember the bride was gorgeous, and she kept her cool in that chaotic situation, even prioritizing calming the guests first. Who knows? This one has a sneaky look and acts all coy. Isn't that exactly what men go for? Su Tingru shot a furious glare in their direction upon hearing this. What the hell are you barking about? You don't know a damn thing. Enough. Lin Xingye grabbed Su Tingru's arm, his brow furrowed tightly. The judgmental stares burning into him felt like silent accusations of his blindness. Let's go. Lin Xingye led Su Tingru away. Just then, An old classmate came in through the side door and spotted me. Yunha, what a coincidence. I had planned to avoid the Lin family for a while and only leave after they were gone. My classmate's exclamation successfully drew everyone's attention. I couldn't just stand by and watch, so I stepped forward and had them wrap up my purchase. Su Tingru watched bitterly as the bag she had her eye on was packed away from me, her resentful gaze fixed on me. Ji Yunha, you did that on purpose. Just because you have some money, you think you're so great. No matter how much money you have, it's useless. Xingye still loves me the most. Lin Xingye froze the moment he saw me, the glimmer in his eyes fading as Su Tingru's words hit the air. Tingru, stop this, let's go. Su Tingru wrenched her hand from Lin Xingye's grasp, biting back the venomous words she wanted to hurl at Ji Yunha. Noticing how his gaze kept drifting unconsciously toward Ji Yunha, she clenched her jaw and reluctantly dragged him away first, but Lin's mother stayed. Her eyes welling up as she held on to me. Yunha, I'm truly sorry, could you possibly give Xingye another chance? I gave Mrs. Lin a polite smile. Auntie, Lin Xingye finally gets to be with the woman he loves, you should be happy for him. Mrs. Lin shook her head vigorously. I'm his mother, and I know him better than anyone. He already regrets it, but he's too proud to admit it and doesn't know how to approach you. I'm begging you. If you reach out to him, he'll definitely come around, Auntie. I shook my head. He's not the only one for me. I'm preparing to study abroad, there's no future for us. Lin Xingye stared at the trending topic on his phone. Hashtag Lin Group's young heir calls off business marriage for true love. Set to wed his longtime crush. Hashtag dashing through the airport for love. Fiction becomes reality. Hashtag the real tea. True love conquers all. Even a billionaire bride gets dumped. Hashtag. Clearly a paid promotional topic, yet there were hardly any congratulatory comments underneath. The most liked one was blasting the groom for losing his mind, saying he's had it too good for too long, though the comment was quickly deleted. A flood of generic well wishes popped up as soon as the page refreshed. 04. Su Tingru wrapped her arms around Lin Xingye's neck from behind, pressing close. Darling, we can finally be together forever. Lin Xingye pressed his lips into a tight line and gently removed Su Tingru's hands. Did you buy all these? Of course not. Su Tingru avoided eye contact as she sat down nearby. You know I can't afford these. I can't even buy a decent handbag without your mother's approval these days. Soon a new trending topic surged to the top. Hashtag wedding day cancellation, true love victory, or cheating scandal. Lin Xingye massaged his temples in resignation. Tingru. You know perfectly well that Dad's been running himself ragged at his age. All those business dinners to pay off your family's debts. He nearly landed in the hospital from all the drinking. Su Tingru swallowed back her rising anger. Do you think I'm asking for these presentable things for myself? Once I marry into the Lin family, I'll be representing your household's reputation every time I step outside. Why do you make it sound like I'm only good at spending money? Were you this stingy when you wanted to marry Ji Yunha back then? I've checked the hotel where you held your wedding banquet. You chose the highest standards for both the catering and decorations. And what about me? Lin Xingye let out a long sigh, feeling utterly exhausted. When he used to spend time with Ji Yunha, she never made so many demands and would even proactively help him save face. The reason my family covered those expenses is because the Ji family didn't take any of the gift money. Su Tingru immediately stood up. Lin Xingye, what do you mean by that? Are you looking down on me now? You were the one who said you loved me, that you'd do anything for me. How could you change your mind so soon? Su Tingru waited for Lin Xingye to refute her, but he only let out a heavy sigh. I'm sorry, I lost my composure, afraid he might actually take the chance to back out. Su Tingru quickly softened her tone. You're all I have left. If even you abandon me, what's the point of going on? Though Su Tingru held him tightly, Lin Xingye felt no flutter of joy, only a weight like a stone on his chest. His mind drifted to memories of his time with Ji Yunha. She was always gentle with him, accepting him completely. No matter what challenges they faced, she stood by his side. When others questioned him, she defended him unconditionally. She managed everything impeccably. From business affairs at the company to household chores at home, the more Lin Xingye thought about it, the more agitated he became. This wasn't how his life was supposed to be. Just then, Mother Lin approached them, sobbing as she walked. Where's the ginseng from the cabinet, and that lingji mushroom? Why are they both gone? Lin Xingye turned his gaze to Su Tingru. Su Tingru said with a cold expression, I heard from the housekeeper that those were gifts from Ji Yunha. Why should we keep anything from her? I threw them all out. Upon hearing this, Mrs. Lin clutched her chest and collapsed onto the sofa. What are you doing? That was meant to be a gift. How could you? Where did you throw it? It's gone for good anyway. The moment I dropped it, I saw someone pick it up. Mrs. Lin refused to believe it had been discarded. She was convinced Su Tingru had taken it out to sell. You. At this, Lin Xingye suddenly dashed upstairs, rushed into his room, and flung open his storage cabinet, only to find it completely empty. Where's my gift? Lin Xingye stood on the second floor, slamming the railing as he yelled down at Su Tingru. Who said you could mess with my stuff? Su Tingru was startled by Lin Xingye's sudden change in attitude. Her face flushed and paled before she forced a strained smile. What's the big deal? I saw it was all old junk in there, so I just tidied up for you. Where are the things? Where did you throw them? Just at the community dumpster. Lin Xingye rushed downstairs like a gust of wind and dashed out the door without looking back. The sweltering heat made the dumpster reek with an overwhelming stench. Lin Xingye rummaged through every trash bin, eventually drawing the attention of the property management staff. He demanded to review the surveillance footage to find out who had taken his belongings. The property manager, holding his nose, first notified Lin Xingye's family. Su Tingru stood at a distance, glaring at Lin Xingye with a twisted expression. They were just a few worthless trinkets, but because Ji Yunhe gave them to him, he treated them like priceless treasures. She wasn't even allowed to touch them, but not only did she touch them, she smashed them to pieces before throwing them away. Lin Xingye practically turned the entire dump upside down, but all he managed to salvage were a few scattered fragments. The enamel doll was beyond repair. This was his 18th birthday gift from Ji Yunhe. Though he'd been quite dismissive of it when she first gave it to him, but Ji Yunhe said this gift could be redeemed for one wish from her. Lin Xingye wasn't sure if the broken gift would still work. I've already packed my luggage for going abroad. Lu Siming said he could give me a ride since it's on his way. My dad also said having him by my side makes me feel more secure. I can sense Lu Siming has feelings for me now. But since I just ended things with Lin Xingye, I'm not ready to accept someone else so soon, especially Lu Siming, who's helped me countless times. After waiting all these years, what's a few more? I'm already happy you didn't turn me down right away. His words left me both stunned and guilt-ridden. I never realized how you felt about me back then. You were with someone else at the time. I didn't want to complicate things for you. I averted my gaze, my cheeks burning with embarrassment. Every time Lu Siming brings up my past, it makes me feel like having been with Lin Xingye is a permanent stain on my life record. The housekeeper rushed over in a fluster. Miss, that young Master Lin Xingye is here, right outside the door. He says he won't leave until he sees you. I'll go see him. Lu Siming spoke as he headed outside. Yunhe, come out here. What do you want with her? Lin Xingye frowned deeply upon seeing that the person emerging from the Ji residence was Lu Siming. What are you doing here? Get lost if you've got nothing better to do. The only reason I didn't beat you senseless last time was because your parents swallowed their pride and begged for mercy. Lin Xingye's face fell, but when he saw me come out, he immediately held up what was in his hand. Yunhe, you promised I could cash in one wish with you using the 18th birthday present you gave me. My mind went blank for a moment, then I focused and saw the shattered porcelain pieces in Lin Xingye's hand. I wish we could go back to how things were before. As soon as Lin Xingye finished speaking, Lu Siming rolled up his sleeves, ready to knock some sense into him. I grabbed his arm and shook my head at Lin Xingye. It's too late for that. Why? Lin Xingye turned to Lu Siming. Is it because of him? I don't believe you could give up on all these years we've had together so easily. Hearing Lin Xingye's words, I couldn't help but find it ridiculous, and I had no desire to waste any more breath on him. The gift I gave you wasn't like this, so it can't be redeemed. Just go. I won't. 05. Before Lin Xingye could finish speaking, Lu Siming stormed over and knocked him to the ground with a single punch. On the day I left, local news outlets were broadcasting live coverage of Lin Xingye and Su Tingru's wedding ceremony. The comments section was flooded with congratulatory messages. Lu Siming snatched the phone away. It's a 12-hour flight, you should get some rest, I explained with a light laugh, just stumbled upon it while scrolling. I'm fine, actually, I've never felt better. No more racking my brains to save the Lin family business, no more facing Lin Xingye's indifference and aloofness. It felt like a heavy burden had been lifted off my shoulders. Incredibly freeing. Immersing myself in what I love while abroad made time fly by. I was building my new career while also taking over the family business. At my graduation ceremony, my dad, and Lou Siming's parents all came to celebrate with me. I accepted the red roses Lou Siming had prepared, and just as I leaned in to smell them, I saw him drop to one knee in front of our families. Cheers from our classmates and teachers filled the air around us. I looked at the ring on my finger. Its beautiful blue diamond sparkling in the sunlight. We're having 2 wedding ceremonies. The one abroad is casual and open, with only friends invited. The domestic ceremony leans more traditional, entirely planned by both sets of parents. It wasn't until I returned home that I realized how over-the-top this wedding would be, with massive balloon banners displaying the couple's names so prominently. As if worried someone might miss them, helicopters circled overhead, showering the sky with confetti. There's going to be a fireworks show tonight too. Isn't that a bit too extravagant? Lou Siming shook his head. You deserve nothing but the best. Honestly, I feel this still isn't enough. I really want the whole world to know that my dream has come true today. The hotel was booked out 6 months in advance, and today, only guests from both families are in attendance. Lou Siming had just helped me out of the car when I heard someone calling my name. I turned and saw Lin Xingye being held back by bodyguards not far away. He looked completely different. His hair had grown much longer. His face was haggard, with dark circles under his eyes that clearly came from chronic sleep deprivation. Yunhe, please, I have something very important to tell you. I stared at him expressionlessly, as if he were a complete stranger. Seeing my reaction, Lou Siming's visible tension eased slightly. I'm sorry, Yunhe, I've wronged you. I regret it. Su Tingru seduced me. She wanted me to fill the bottomless pit of her family's debts. I was momentarily soft-hearted and foolish, and she latched onto me. I won't bother you again. I've already filed for divorce. Please don't marry Lou Siming. I'm begging you. Lin Xingye's voice broke into sobs as he spoke, his legs giving way until he collapsed to his knees. I looked up at Lou Siming. Would it be alright if I went over to speak with him? He doesn't deserve your attention. Have security remove him immediately. Lou Siming was clearly reluctant, but he couldn't bring himself to refuse my request. I stood on my tiptoes and gave him a reassuring peck on the cheek. This won't take long. Gathering up my heavy tulle skirt, I walked over as the bodyguards firmly restrained the agitated Lin Xingye. Stop coming to see me. You made your choice in our past life. You don't regret it because you love me. You just realized I'm more useful to you. Lin Xingye stared at me with wide, frozen eyes, as if he had just uncovered something terrifying. You too. Before Lin Xingye could finish speaking, someone kicked him hard from behind. Lou Siming pulled me back, afraid the crazy person would drag me into it. Su Tingru had changed a lot too. She was heavily pregnant, her body had grown stout, her face was puffy and swollen, and she had developed quite a few blemishes. Lin Xingye, you bastard, how dare you treat me like this? I'm carrying your child, going through all this hardship. What are you even doing? Who the hell do you think you are? Trying to climb the social ladder? Do you really think anyone would even look at trash like you? Lin Xingye was kicked several times before he snapped out of it. He scrambled up from the ground and immediately shoved Su Tingru. Su Tingru staggered backward, barely managing to keep her balance. Useless piece of shit. You can't do anything right. If I'd known you were such a waste, I never would have fallen for your sweet talk back then. I could have at least married a rich man who'd provide for me. Lin Xingye screamed at Su Tingru at the top of his lungs. Shut up. You know damn well whose child you're carrying. You're nothing but a jinx. If it weren't for you, my family wouldn't have gone bankrupt. I'm divorcing you for sure. Get the hell out of my house right now. Su Tingru let out a sharp scream and started grappling with Lin Xingye in full public view. Despite his slender build, Lin Xingye was still a grown man. He mercilessly slapped the pregnant Su Tingru multiple times before finally shoving her to the ground, clutching her stomach in pain. Su Tingru cried out. Seeing this, Lin Xingye turned and fled without a moment's hesitation. In the end, the hotel manager had to call an ambulance to carry her away. I let out a soft sigh. And Lou Siming took my hand. Thank goodness you didn't end up marrying someone like that. I nodded in agreement, feeling the same wave of relief that follows a narrow escape. Yes, I'm just grateful at you walking through life with me. Story 2. My mother, who favored boys over girls for most of her life, became paralyzed unexpectedly at the age of 50. My younger brother, her beloved son who lived off his parents, never took up his responsibilities. I, unmarried, took care of her alone for 20 years until she passed away, unknown to anyone. My mother was reborn after her death, returning to the year when I was 18. Shirley, did you actually buy a new phone? During the summer break when I returned home, The corner of my new phone accidentally peeked out of my pocket and was spotted by Benny, who was watching TV on the sofa. He dropped his chips and dashed over to me in one swift motion. Snatching the phone from my pocket and excitedly examining it from all angles, alarm bells rang in my head, sensing trouble brewing. "What are you doing? Give it back." "Hee hee, it's mine now." Benny tried to unlock the phone with a few passwords, all incorrect, then forcefully demanded I unlock it for him. In desperation, I said, "I bought this with the money I earned from my part-time job. You can't take it. I want it. And I will have it." "Hee hee, don't you have your own phone? Why do you have to take mine?" This phone, which I had bought with money earned from long hours of part-time work, was not something I was willing to just hand over. Besides, Benny, still in high school, already had the latest iPhone model. My phone was just a 2,000 yuan device, but he had a habit of taking my things, even if he didn't need them. What's wrong with having two phones? I suppressed my anger. "Give it back, Mom, Mom." Hearing him call our mother, my heart sank. From childhood, whatever Benny wanted, our parents would go out of their way to fulfill, especially if he took an interest in my belongings. It wasn't as if I hadn't resisted before, but my protests only resulted in scolding and punishment. "You're his older sister. Why can't you give in to your brother? How can you be so thoughtless? You foolish girl, you'll get married someday, and the Lin family will have to rely on your brother. Don't even think about comparing yourself with him." I had heard these words countless times. Watching my defeated expression, Benny started to laugh triumphantly, making faces at me. I was so angry I trembled, wishing I could slap him across the face. Slap, a crisp sound rang out, and Benny's face indeed received a hefty slap. I widened my eyes in shock. Benny, clutching his face, also widened his eyes. "You scoundrel, how dare you take your sister's things? Give it back now." Out of nowhere, Mom appeared from the bedroom. And after slapping Benny, she stood with one hand on her hip and the other pointing fiercely at the phone in Benny's hand. This ferocious expression, one I had seen countless times growing up, had always been directed at me. This was the first time I saw Mom lash out at Benny. "Mom, you hit me. You actually hit me for surely." Benny was still in shock, yelling and questioning our mom. Slap. Another slap landed on the other side of Benny's face. Mom's anger intensified. "Yes, I hit you. And who allowed you to call your sister by her name? From now on, address her respectfully as sister." My jaw dropped. From the age of 7 or 8, Benny had always addressed me by my first name. Who in the family didn't know, but it was tacitly accepted, having been coddled from a young age. Benny was not accustomed to such treatment. Once he realized what was happening, he burst into tears, screaming and furiously threw my phone to the ground. I won't, if I can't have this phone. Neither can Shirley." After yelling, Benny ran into the bedroom and slammed the door so hard it made me shudder uncontrollably. I looked at the shattered phone screen, heartbroken, and quickly knelt down to pick it up. While calculating the cost of replacing the screen, I wondered why Mom was acting so unusually today. "Shirley, forget about the phone, we'll get a new one." I looked up incredulously, meeting my mother's tender and compassionate gaze. My heart skipped a beat, I admit. Seeing Mom like this was nice, but it was so sudden that I was not used to it and began to wonder if I was dreaming. Mom pulled me up, examining me from head to toe with a look in her eyes that I couldn't quite understand. Uneasily, I let her gaze over me. Wait, was I seeing things? Was she crying? She touched my hair as if talking to herself. "It's good, Shirley doesn't have any gray hair." "Ah, I'm only 18. Just started college, of course, I don't have gray hair." She then touched my hand. "Your hands are still soft, no calluses." "Well, I just do the dishes every day, it's not enough to cause calluses." She touched my back. "Your back isn't bent, it's nice and straight." I frowned. "I'm not an old woman, why would I have a hunched back?" I couldn't hold back anymore. "Mom, what's wrong?" Mom wiped her tears and squeezed out a smile. "Nothing's wrong, darling. I just woke up from a nap and heard your brother screaming. Your father and I have spoiled him too much. Don't worry. He won't dare to steal your things again. If he dares to act like today, I'll teach him a lesson." As she spoke, Mom deliberately raised her voice towards Benny's bedroom. Bang, something in Benny's room fell. Mom smiled at me again, softly saying, "Shirley, I'll give you 10,000 yuan, you can buy whatever phone you want." After speaking, she patted my hand and turned to pick up a rolling pin from the kitchen before heading to Benny's room. "Who are you throwing things around for, Mom? Why are you hitting me again?" "I'm hitting you because you deserve it. And if you ever treat your sister like that again, I'll do it again. Amid Benny's screams, I pinched my thigh. Ouch. That hurt. After Mom disciplined Benny, she really transferred 10,000 yuan to me, but I didn't dare to spend it. I was afraid that when I woke up tomorrow, everything would have changed. Before dinner, Mom specifically came to ask what I wanted to eat, her face full of guilt and remorse. She said, "Shirley, I was wrong before, I didn't pay enough attention to you. What do you love to eat? Mama will cook it for you." Ever since I can remember, I was never allowed to be picky, waste food, or make special requests, but Benny could do all that. Whatever he didn't like, our parents would make me eat. Whatever he couldn't finish, they would pass it on to me. Whatever he wanted to eat, Mom would make right away, or Dad would go out to buy it. No one cared or knew what I liked or disliked. Anything is fine, Mom. I love everything you cook. To be honest, I don't even know what I like to eat. In my mind, I only know what I must eat and what I'm allowed to eat. I can't compete with Benny for the things he wants. Suddenly, tears welled up in Mom's eyes. "Shirley, Mom has wronged you in the past. Can you forgive me?" I was completely taken aback. "You must understand. My mom is known far and wide for her fierce temper and strong personality. When such a person suddenly apologizes and softens towards you, your first reaction isn't touched, it's shock. Mom, you don't need to do this." I even started to wonder if I had a tendency to be masochistic. Mom's sudden change of attitude towards me, a complete 180, was really hard for me to adjust to. At dinner, Mom cooked a huge feast, complete with chicken, duck, fish, meat, and a variety of vegetarian dishes, almost as elaborate as our annual New Year's Eve dinner. She came out of the kitchen sweating from the heat but with a smile on her face. "It's good to be able to move around. Shirley, come and eat." "Mom, let's wait for Dad to come back and eat together." Mom pulled me to sit down and started serving food into my bowl while saying, "Eat if you're hungry." Suddenly, Benny burst out of his room, yelling, "Mom, how could you start eating without calling me?" Mom didn't even look up, just coldly said, "Eat if you want." Then she turned to me with a smile. "Oh yes, I also steamed some sticky rice buns for you. I'll go get them." I watched her as she turned to go to the kitchen, and my memory suddenly flashed back to when I was 8 years old. That time, Mom had steamed a basket of sticky rice buns. Benny was holding one in each hand, biting into them, and I happily took one too, but before I could even take a bite, Benny yelled, "You can't eat them, they're all mine." In a fit of anger, I bit into one anyway. Benny, furious, threw all his buns on the floor, crying and saying that I was bullying him by stealing his food. I was punished that day with no dinner. And Benny became even more unreasonable after that. Now, Benny was clearly furious but didn't dare lash out at Mom and instead whispered threats to me. "I've already told Dad about you, just wait until he comes home to deal with you." As soon as he finished his sentence, the door opened. It was Dad. "Dad," Benny cried out with a sobbing voice, sounding deeply aggrieved. Seeing me sitting and Benny standing, Dad scowled and scolded me. "Shirley, your brother and I haven't even eaten yet. And you've already started. Are you asking for a spanking?" He quickly walked over and grabbed the collar of my shirt, trying to pull me up from the chair. "George." I turned around and saw Mom standing at the kitchen doorway, her expression dark and foreboding. Normally, that look on Mom's face was a sign that a storm was about to break, and Benny shrank behind Dad, trying to hide. At the moment, my dad had no idea what was going on. He was gripping me so tightly that I felt like a little chick being picked up by the scruff of my neck, my feet dangling in the air. The next second, my mom's fists rained down on my dad like a hailstorm. "Let go of her, will you? How can you speak to Shirley like that?" Attacking Shirley without even understanding the situation. "What kind of father are you? Have you ever considered Shirley's feelings?" Caught off guard, my dad clumsily released my collar, dodging and yelling, "Joanna, have you lost your mind? Why are you hitting me? Hey, hey." Not the face, but my mom's blows only grew fiercer. And in her fury, she swung at both my dad and Benny. Poor Benny was wailing as if he was being slaughtered. "Why are you hitting me too?" 10 minutes later, our family of 4 sat at the dining table. My dad, Benny, and I were eating in silence, while my mom chattered nonstop. "Shirley, have some fish belly. It's boneless." "Shirley, try the duck soup I made. How does it taste?" "You're too skinny. Eat more meat. But don't forget the vegetables for a balanced diet." "Benny, what do you think you're doing? Your sister hasn't had any chicken legs yet. Don't you dare touch them." Benny, seething but not daring to speak, kept making eye signals to my dad, who deliberately turned his face away while holding his bowl. under my mom's enthusiastic feeding. I felt so full I could vomit. I stood up to clear the dishes as usual, but my mom snatched them away from me. "Benny, go wash the dishes." Incredulously, Benny looked at my mom. "Mom, you've never asked me to wash dishes before." With an undeniable tone, my mom calmly said, "Benny, not just today. From now until you go back to school, you're going to wash dishes every day. Besides washing dishes, you'll sweep, mop, clean the toilet, take out the trash, and wash your own clothes." I was utterly shocked. Normally, these chores were my responsibility whenever I was home. Clearly, Benny was not happy about this. For someone who had been coddled all his life, asking him to wash dishes and mop daily was practically a death sentence. "Why, I don't want to." My dad tried to intervene. "Honey, Shirley's just come home for the vacation. Let her help you like before. Why make the boy?" "Shut up. What I say goes." Benny suddenly stood up. "Mom, if you insist on making me do it, I'll go on a hunger strike." Refusing to eat was Benny's go-to move since he was little. Whenever he screamed, "Then I won't eat," my mom would immediately give in and satisfy all his unreasonable demands. Being the favored one, he had the privilege to throw tantrums. When I was 13, I once ran away from home. I waited at a street corner 200 meters from our house for 4 hours. As night fell, I dejectedly walked back home. They were having dinner as if nothing had happened. "See, I told you she'd come back on her own. We can't keep spoiling that brat. Shirley, you're not allowed to eat dinner tonight. If it happens again, see how I'll deal with you." Mom stood up, took off her apron, and said indifferently to Benny, "Then starve to death for all I care." That evening, Mom took me to the mall. Clothes, shoes, skincare products, various necessities, anything she thought I could wear or use, she bought without hesitation. Before going to college, I wore school uniforms all year round. After the college entrance exams, it took several tries to convince Mom to give me 500 yuan to buy new clothes. But it was different for Benny. He had endless brand-name clothes. His closet was packed full, and even basketball shoes costing thousands of yuan didn't make Mom flinch when buying them for him. So, usually, I was satisfied when Mom was willing to buy me clothes. But today she went on a shopping spree as if money was no object, which made me uneasy. "Mom, stop buying. It's enough." Mom turned a deaf ear, almost as if she wanted to move the entire mall back home. The next morning when I woke up, everything that had happened the day before felt like a dream. Benny tiptoed out to use the bathroom, and Mom was nowhere to be seen. "Watch your step, master. Over here. Take it slow." Mom's voice came from outside, and Benny, as if escaping, flew back to his bedroom. "Shirley, you're up. Come see what good things Mom bought for you." More purchases. My small bedroom was already packed to the brim. There was absolutely no more space. When the items were brought in, my jaw dropped. A piano. Mom had actually bought me a piano. "Shirley, didn't you always want to learn the piano when you were little? Do you like it?" There was a gleaming look in Mom's eyes. Her tone even carried a hint of appeasement. "Mom, this is too expensive. Moreover, not only does it not fit in my room, there's no place for it in the living room either." I hadn't recovered from the shock when Mom already pushed open Benny's bedroom door. "Put it here, masters." "Benny, you're swapping rooms with your sister. Start moving now." "Mom, why should I switch rooms with her for no reason?" "You'll switch if I say switch, or do you want me to beat you?" Mom's decisions were never up for debate. Half an hour later, the piano was in Benny's room. 2 hours later, Benny's room became mine. Our house was just a 2-bedroom, and my bedroom was converted from a storage room. A single bed and a small desk almost filled up the room, and I had to hang my clothes on a retractable clothes rack. My things were easy to move, but Benny's stuff was just too much. Clothes, shoes, computer, speakers, figurines, decorations. Mom ruthlessly threw them all into a big box for him to sort out. Benny didn't dare yell at Mom anymore and sulked in his room alone. Since he didn't do any chores, Mom simply didn't cook for him, and every time I tried to help Mom with chores, she stopped me. Suddenly, the status of me and Benny in Mom's heart seemed to have switched. He became the child Mom disfavored, while I, inexplicably, became the apple of her eye, even more so than she ever was with Benny. Mom was adamant, if Benny didn't do the chores, she wouldn't cook for him, nor allow him to order takeout. If he dared to eat out, he wouldn't be allowed to come home that night. In just 2 weeks, Benny visibly lost a lot of weight, his spirits constantly low, like a frostbitten bok choy. Under the stern gaze of my mother, my father no longer dared to boss me around or to hit me at whim. Whenever he tried to speak up for Benny, he would only face harsher scolding from my mom. She even threw out all the cigarettes at home, forcing my dad to quit smoking. Her reason was that if he continued, he'd get lung cancer before he turned 50. Without his cigarettes, my dad also became listless, until one day, he came home from work, excitedly announcing that the main corporation was organizing a group purchase for housing, allocating quotas to each subsidiary, and if interested, the payment had to be made in full at once. Honey, the welfare house is that development we looked at before, great location, beautiful layout, most importantly, with the group purchase. It's $300,000 cheaper than the market price, $300,000, imagine that. Everyone at my office was buzzing about it today. You should withdraw our savings tomorrow. Our bank balance is just about right. We must secure a spot and get on board with this opportunity. Mom had always complained that our current house was too old and in a poor location, making shopping and commuting inconvenient. She always wanted to change houses. But we never came across the right opportunity. It was either that the affordable ones didn't catch her eye, or the ones she liked were too expensive. With such a great opportunity now, I thought Mom would be thrilled, but when I turned to look at her, I surprisingly found her wearing an indifferent expression. We're not buying. What did you say? My dad thought he had misheard. Mom raised her voice and repeated, we're not buying. My dad started squawking like a scalded chicken. Why not buy? It's such a great opportunity, an opportunity others would kill for, and you're just going to pass. Haven't you always wanted to change houses? Although I wasn't qualified to participate in such significant family decisions, I too thought my dad made sense. Missing out on a chance to save hundreds of thousands seemed like missing the boat, but no matter how my dad appealed emotionally or reasoned with her, Mom remained unmoved. My dad was nearly going mad. Joanna, you'll just wait and regret it. I'll see where you go crying then. But there was nothing he could do. The money was controlled by Mom, and without her consent, it was untouchable. The next day, my dad left the house in a huff without even eating breakfast. That afternoon, Mom's old schoolmate aunt suddenly called her. Joanna, today's the registration day for buying the house. Why hasn't your family's George done anything? Oh, we've decided not to buy that house. We'll look around some more. My heavens. You're passing up such a huge bargain. I told my Patrick he's not allowed home if he doesn't secure a spot. Luckily, he managed to get one and paid in full on the spot. Aunt's husband happened to be in the same company as my dad, and over the years, she and my mom had always been quietly competing, comparing looks, health, husbands, children, living conditions. It turned out Aunt was calling specifically to brag to my mom. Mom, however, didn't engage in her usual sarcastic banter but instead replied with a smile, well, congratulations to you. We don't have the money, so we're not joining in on this frenzy. George earns about the same as Patrick, and you don't have the money. Wow, if I were you, I'd even borrow to secure that house. I've seen that house, and boy, it's fantastic. You might regret this in the future, Aunt said, thinking she had the upper hand as she chuckled and hung up the phone. I couldn't help but ask my mom why she didn't want to buy the house. Mom looked disdainful. Let Helen grab that unfinished house. Unfinished? I looked at Mom skeptically. How did she know? After saying that, Mom clammed up, refusing to say more no matter how much I questioned her. She then urged me to change clothes, mysteriously mentioning she would take me somewhere. After an hour-long taxi ride, Mom brought me to a sales center in the western suburbs. Behind the sales center was a residential area under construction, surrounded by desolate land as far as the eye could see, with no amenities nearby. The sales center itself was almost empty, hardly visited by anyone. I was very puzzled. Mom, you're not seriously considering buying a house here. It's quite far from the city center. In fact, that was an understatement. It was more than just a bit far. It was nearly out of the city. Mom ruffled my hair. You don't understand now. But you will later. The sales consultant greeted us warmly. Ma'am, although there's nothing around right now, in 3 years, this place will. A pretty consultant began to enthusiastically point out the future benefits of the development, attempting to, well, not to hoodwink us, but to highlight the advantages of investing here. Mom interrupted her. I know all that, just show me the floor plans and the current prices. Ma'am, you really have a keen eye, the consultant exclaimed. Given its distance from the city and the surrounding barren land, the current prices were incredibly low. I watched, dumbfounded, as Mom chose 2 3-bedroom apartments in the best building and immediately paid the deposit without a second thought. The consultant was overjoyed, hardly able to keep her mouth closed. I was flabbergasted. Mom, aren't you going to discuss this with Dad? He knows nothing. By the time we finished discussing, it would be too late, I nervously swallowed. There was likely to be a big fight between Mom and Dad. Sure enough, when Dad found out Mom had spent $200,000 on those apartments in that desolate western suburb, 2 apartments at that, he was furious, ranting about having married a foolish wife who squandered money and even threatening divorce. Dad, in a fit of anger, stayed at his workplace for a week without coming home. When Aunt heard the news, she came over, barely concealing her glee, to mock my mom. Joanna, I'm not trying to criticize you, but if you missed out on the welfare housing, you shouldn't have panicked and acted recklessly, Aunt said. Mom just smiled silently. What's in the western suburbs? No economy, no development. Anyone with a bit of foresight wouldn't buy a house there. You're just throwing your money away, Aunt continued. Mom remained calm and collected. Aunt went on. Look how angry you've made George. When your son wants to get married later, which girl would be happy marrying into a family without a decent house? This time, Mom couldn't hold back. Who said I bought this for my son? This is for my daughter and my retirement. If my son wants to marry, he can earn his own way. Aunt was stunned, muttering under her breath if Mom had lost her mind from some shock. I'm perfectly fine, never been clearer. Mom retorted. Aunt snorted with laughter. Keep talking tough, I'll just wait and see the day you regret this. Then, Aunt left. I was still in shock for a long time. Those 2 houses. Not only did Mom have no intention of giving one to Benny, but she was actually planning to leave one for me. Oh my God, did I hear that right? Mom was acting out of character, and I, the direct beneficiary, couldn't help but share Aunt's suspicion. Had something really affected my mom's mind? Moreover, I was worried that this might actually lead my parents to divorce. Mom seemed to see through my concerns and reassured me. Don't worry, your dad will be back by next week at the latest. How could she be so sure? But before my dad returned, my grandmother arrived first. After receiving an urgent plea from Benny, the old lady spent $100 to take a taxi from the neighboring county, arriving full of fury. She arrived when Mom was not at home. Benny, seeing her as his savior, threw himself into her arms, sobbing, Grandma, you're finally here. My God, my dear grandson, how did you get so thin? I was in the bedroom and my heart tightened reflexively when I heard Grandma's voice. Then Benny spilled everything, lamenting the inhuman treatment he had suffered recently. Grandma listened, continuously expressing sympathy with cries of "Oh my poor grandson." When Grandma heard that Mom had made Benny do household chores, she was incredulously shocked. How could your mom make you, a young man, wash dishes and mop floors? Men in our George family are meant for bigger things, not housework. Grandma, I was actually mopping the floor right before you came. Mom said if I didn't finish, I wouldn't get any food. What has gotten into your mom? She used to treat you so well, didn't she? I don't know, she just bought a house a few days ago, said it was for Shirley, and I didn't get anything. Grandma's voice suddenly became sharp. I think your mom has lost her mind. Where is your sister? Get her out here. Feeling a mix of emotions, I timidly walked out of the bedroom and called out, Grandma. I couldn't help it. I've been afraid of her since I was little, and, I admit, I really didn't like her. She had advocated giving me away when I was born. At 3, she deliberately let go of my hand in a busy market, and I ended up being brought back home by a passing neighbor. At 9, she took me and Benny to an amusement park but bought only 2 tickets, one for Benny and one for herself, leaving me to shiver in the cold at the entrance for hours, and I ended up with a fever that night. Before my university entrance exams, she even kept telling my parents that it was useless for girls to study so much, better to find a rich husband. Thankfully, my aunt always spoke up for me, which gave me the chance to go to college. At that moment, Grandma looked at me with disdain. A girl daring to compare with my precious grandson. Shouldn't you be doing more housework at home, learning to cook? That's what's proper. You just watch your brother work. You don't stop him when your mom makes him do chores. Do you even act like a sister? I'm telling you, as long as I'm here, I won't let your mom make such foolish mistakes. What kind of logic is this? Buying a house for a daughter and not for a son? What are you standing there for? Go mop the floor. And then cook for your brother. Although Mom has been extraordinarily nice to me recently, I'm not deluded. I obediently picked up the mop. There's no winning against Grandma. Benny raised his hand. Grandma, look at my hands. They're all calloused. Grandma tenderly embraced Benny, soothing him gently. My poor grandson, you've suffered. While I was mopping the floor, I silently cursed Benny for being so pretentious. Just then, Mom returned from grocery shopping and immediately noticed me slogging away. Shirley, didn't we agree that your brother would handle the chores from now on? I responded with a sheepish smile. Joanna, Grandma, sitting cross-legged, drawled as Mom finally noticed her sitting on the sofa, slightly surprised. Mom, when did you get here? Oh, when did I get here? If I hadn't come, who knows how bullied my grandson would have been. Mom snatched the mop from my hand. Benny, finish your chores. Benny cowered behind Grandma. Grandma, suddenly, Grandma slammed her hand on the coffee table and shouted with commanding force, I want to see who dares make my grandson work today. Despite her age, Grandma's presence was just as imposing as Mom's. Benny and I didn't dare breathe, feeling the tension between them. Grandma, holding Benny's hand, scolded my mom, he's a boy, why should he do household chores? What are you thinking? He's growing. And you're not even feeding him properly. What if he falls ill from malnutrition? Can you bear that responsibility? And Benny's room, you make him stay in that storage space, it's like a pigsty. Is that a place for people? So, I guess I'm not human then. And another thing, Grandma pointed at Mom. Benny said you bought a house for your daughter, not for him. Is that true? Faced with Grandma's fierce interrogation, Mom remained calm. Yes, since George put me in charge. I have the authority. What authority? I don't believe my son would allow you to act so recklessly. If you really dare, do you believe I'd convince my son to divorce you? I looked worriedly at Mom, but she just smiled slightly. Suit yourself. Benny, didn't you hear me? Finish mopping. Grandma was so angry she trembled. Dear grandson, come with Grandma, let's see who can force you to work. With that, Benny found his support, glanced resentfully at Mom and me, quickly packed some things in his room, and indeed left with Grandma. As they left, I could still hear Grandma saying, just wait for your mom to regret this. I assure you it won't be long before she comes to fetch you. After Grandma and Benny left, I was genuinely worried for a few days, fearing that Dad might suddenly return and decide to divorce Mom. But Mom continued her life unaffected. Eating and drinking as usual. Turns out Mom was right. Dad came back that weekend, looking disheveled and embarrassed. Shirley, where's your mom? I was watching TV and pointed towards the bedroom. Dad, too anxious even to change his shoes, rushed in. I heard him excitedly shouting, honey, the developer of that welfare housing. He took everyone's full payments and ran off. The building isn't even finished, and it's already abandoned. It's only been a few days. And everyone at my work who bought those houses was initially so happy, now they're devastated. They're all talking about calling the police, but what's the use? The money's gone. Patrick and Helen are heading straight for divorce. Patrick claims that he was persuaded by Helen to buy their house and even had to borrow a significant amount of money for it. Thank goodness we didn't buy it, my dad remarked after a lengthy discussion, filled with both emotion and relief. While my mom remained unfazed, as if she had known all along. Still think I'm confused? She asked. It's me who's the real fool here, he admitted. Still want a divorce? He quickly added, a divorce? Why would you say that, dear? Which made my mom laugh, and I couldn't help but join in. I heard my dad say, well, I've realized that owning 2 mediocre houses is still better than losing all our money, as long as they don't end up unfinished. Right then, the local news on TV was reporting. Our city plans to invest 65 billion yuan to expedite the Eye of the City project, focusing on high-quality development, high-standard planning, implementation, and management, to push forward the development of the new district. The project, which includes commercial, educational, medical, and leisure facilities, aims to be completed by 2025 and will undoubtedly boost the surrounding commercial and residential areas. The TV screen showed the sales center my mom and I had visited that day, leaving a profound impact on my young mind. My mom appeared to me like a deity. Dad, Mom, come and look. Even before the new year, our home's atmosphere was more festive than the holiday itself. Although my mom seemed calm, I could feel her happiness. My dad, who had been downcast, now walked with his head held high. Ah, Patrick used to mock me so much. Who would have thought the tables would turn? My mom advised him to keep a low profile to avoid envy. Right, you're correct. But thinking about how much those 2 apartments you bought have appreciated, I can't even sleep, my dad exclaimed. My mom gave him a stern look. Buy another one, and you think I wouldn't have killed you? Besides, do you even have that much money? Anything my mom said now, my dad wouldn't get upset. Hee, look at you, he chuckled, thrilled to the core. With Benny completely forgotten unless my mom mentioned bringing him back. While out shopping, I ran into Aunt, who quickly dodged us before we could greet her. Despite my mom's advice to keep things low-key, the news that we had bought 2 apartments at a bargain price that had then skyrocketed was soon known by our relatives. My aunt and uncle were the first to visit. "Joanna, how do you have such great foresight?" my mom modestly replied. "Ah, just blind luck. Why didn't you think to bring us in on this great deal at the start?" My uncle lamented. "Brother, if I had called you then, would you have joined?" My uncle awkwardly laughed while my aunt quickly changed the subject. "So, your older nephew is about to propose, right? The girl's family is asking for a hefty bride price, and we're struggling to prepare both the bride price and a house," she hinted heavily, but my mom pretended not to catch on. "I've met the girl once, she's nice. I'm sure they'll have a happy marriage," my mom replied, as my aunt subtly coughed, hinting further. "Oh well, that's why we thought we should hurry up and settle this marriage," Mom agreed. "Yes, we need to do it quickly." My uncle couldn't hold back any longer. "Joanna, I'm really tight on money right now. Do you think you could help out?" Mom laughed, though there was a hint of distance in her smile. "Brother, sister-in-law, it's not that I don't want to help, but I really don't have any cash on hand since I bought the house." It seemed Mom had made up her mind not to lend the money, and I couldn't understand her tactics. Over the years, my uncle and aunt had borrowed money not just once or twice, and Mom had always been quick to help. Why the change today? When my uncle and aunt left, they looked quite upset. "Joanna, I am your own brother. Don't you care about our sibling bond? Don't you think about the day when you might need my help?" Mom said emotionlessly. "Brother, I will give a generous red envelope for my grandnephew's wedding." When my aunt heard that Mom hadn't lent them the money, she came storming over to confront her. "Joanna, have you forgotten what our parents said before they passed? The 3 of us must support and help each other. His problems are our problems, and we must find ways to assist him." Mom scoffed. "He's a grown man, and whenever he faces a little trouble, he comes to us. What about when we have problems? He just shirks his responsibilities." "I'm tired of being the fool, but he's the only male in our family," Mom interrupted my aunt, continuing the family line. "Sister, don't you find that laughable? Tell me, did we serve our parents any less than he did, who was by their bedside in the hospital, him or us taking turns day and night? Once we women are married, we're considered water thrown out, while men are always treasured, seen as the hope and future of the family. In my opinion, if he can't even fulfill basic human decency, he's worthless." Stunned by Mom's words, my aunt left in a daze. After my aunt left, Mom took the initiative to call my aunt, her sister, exchanged a few pleasantries, and warmly invited her family to come visit us. "Mom, didn't you have a fallout with my aunt last time? Surely, you might not understand adult matters yet. Mom has learned from her losses which people are genuinely kind and which are not. Adversity reveals true friends." Mom was again speaking in ways I couldn't comprehend. When had she suffered a loss? I wasn't aware. Under Mom's influence, Dad's attitude towards me also gradually changed. He no longer called me stupid girl with a sour face, nor did he constantly lecture me to be considerate towards Benny. Oh, speaking of Benny, it seems he's been at Grandma's house for almost a month now, and Mom shows no signs of wanting him back. Once I overheard Grandma calling Dad. "When is your wife planning to bring your son back home? What's the matter? Mom, isn't Benny happy at your place? Aren't you worried he'll get tired again if he comes back?" "I don't know if he'll get tired, but if he doesn't come back soon, I'm going to be exhausted to death." It turns out that after Benny went to Grandma's, he completely let loose, reverting to his lazy, gluttonous ways. Benny is picky with food. He demands meat at every meal, and if he gets hungry at midnight, he wakes Grandma to cook for him. Benny is messy. He throws used tissues everywhere, leaves towels strewn about, doesn't lift the toilet seat, and leaves crumbs all over the bed. Grandma, who loves cleanliness, could hardly stand it. Every day she had to clean up after him. Benny liked to sleep in during the mornings, so he wouldn't let Grandma listen to the radio. At night, Benny would play video games, blasting the volume no matter the hour. Over the month, Benny gained back the weight he had lost, while Grandma got noticeably thinner. Previously, when Benny visited his grandma's house, it was only for 3 or 4 days, and she didn't mind whatever he did, but this time, the visit was too long, coupled with the fact that he had been feeling cooped up at home, without his mother to supervise. He completely let loose, and even Grandma couldn't tolerate it anymore. She didn't wait for his mother to plead with Benny to return. Instead, she indirectly asked my dad about it. My dad, already tipped off by my mom, said with difficulty, "If Benny comes back, He can only stay in the small room, which would be tough for him. What's the issue? Didn't you grow up without even a bedroom? All four of us crammed into one small room. But if Benny comes back, he can't play video games or sleep in, which will be tough for him. Young people shouldn't stay up late. Going to bed early and rising early is the way to stay healthy. What about the chores Joanna will make him do if he comes back? It's all about balancing work and rest. Besides, doing more chores himself will help him understand others' hardships better. But, Grandma, losing her patience, shouted, enough with the buts, go get your son back home now. Benny never expected that even his beloved grandma would betray him. His last bit of hope was shattered. His mom enrolled him in several tutoring classes, giving him a choice between housework and tutoring. Benny decisively chose tutoring. Benny, don't say I didn't give you a chance. If your grades don't improve next semester, not only will you have to do housework, but you'll also be making breakfast and dinner every day. Since your grades are poor anyway, they can't get much worse. Moreover, Benny no longer dared to behave as before, snatching my things and bossing me around. And he even awkwardly called me sister from time to time. I don't know why Mom was so firm about Dad quitting smoking, refusing to give in, and Dad painfully completed the process. I spent that summer feeling like it was all a dream. On the day of departure, my mom took me to the high-speed train station, looking exceptionally happy. Shirley, starting this semester, Mom will give you $5,000 a month for living expenses. I quickly shook my head. Mom, that's too much. I told her that $1,500 was more than enough for me. The amount is Mom's decision. How you use it is up to you. You're a sensible child. 1,000 times better than your brother. As she spoke, her eyes reddened. She was never one to cry, but the distance and barriers between us over 18 years couldn't be immediately erased in just over a month. I didn't know how to comfort her, or what to say, so I could only remain awkwardly silent. Mom laughed through her tears, wiping them away as she pushed me into the station. Look at me, crying for no reason. All right, go on, Shirley, study hard in college, make friends, and fully enjoy your own life. And remember, if there's anything, or any time you feel homesick, call me. Okay, I pursed my lips and nodded, as the high-speed train left the platform and the familiar scenery started to fade away. I thought back to just moments ago when I unintentionally looked back and saw Mom stretching on her tiptoes, craning her neck, looking for me. Suddenly, my tears began to fall. The last time I left home for a university thousands of miles away, I felt only the thrill of escape, but this time, did I unknowingly develop a sense of attachment. In my junior year of college, Benny got admitted to a local university, and the whole family was overjoyed. Even Grandma had to admit that it was thanks to Mom's strictness over the past 2 years that Benny was able to get into college, and Benny's bad habits were curbed under Mom's strict discipline. During these years, Mom advised Dad on how to navigate office politics, whom to team up with, whom to gift, and whom to impress. After Dad followed her advice, he was promoted 3 levels in 2 years, and his career prospered immensely. My relationship with Benny also improved significantly during this time. Mom always made it a point to instill in him, Shirley is your sister, it's your duty to protect her from being bullied. Once your dad and I are gone, she will be your closest kin. If you don't treat her well, who will? As graduation approached, Dad wanted me to come back home, but Mom said, Shirley, don't worry about anything. If you want to come home, I support you. If you want to move to another city, I fully support you as well. If you decide to settle down in a city, I'll sell the house we bought for you to provide you with funds to buy your own. Mom really hopes you have your own life, to see you get married, have children, and start your own family. Mom needs to take good care of her health, so when you have children, if you want Mom to help, I'll be there without hesitation. If you find me annoying, I'll just provide financial support. Over the phone. Mom rambled from job hunting to me having children, and I found myself unexpectedly tearing up. For years ago, when I left home for university, I was thrilled to escape the suffocating environment of our home. Now, as graduation is nearing, I could go further away, yet I find myself filled with reluctance and concerns. I don't have grand ambitions. I chose to return home and successfully got a job as a civil servant. Mom was so happy she wanted to throw a huge celebration at a 5-star hotel. But I insisted on keeping it low-key. After settling into my job, Mom started looking for potential suitors for me. Dad didn't understand the rush. Shirley is still so young, what's the hurry? But Mom scolded him for knowing nothing. Good guys are in high demand. If Shirley finds someone decent, they can date for a couple of years to get to know each other well before getting married, ideally. She'd have 2 kids before turning 30. Then I can look after the kids while Shirley focuses on her career. I couldn't help but interject. Mom, I think 1 child will be enough. Without hesitation, Mom replied, sure, 1 is also good, whatever you say. Dad shook his head. That's what you call it. What you young people say, daughter slave. Mom slapped Dad on the back. Stop your nonsense. And don't forget the health checkup I scheduled for you this afternoon. Suddenly, a voice message popped up in the group chat from Benny. Mom, I actually won a 3rd-level scholarship, $500. Can you believe it? Your son is making something of himself. I sent a thumbs up emoji in the group chat. Hey sis, isn't your birthday coming up? How about I buy you a lipstick? Mom teased, you rascal. What's the point of a birthday gift if you spoil the surprise? Dad was delighted. Not bad, not bad. The son takes after me, a late bloomer my foot. I've always said this, once he graduates, he needs to find a job and fight for his own house. Don't even think about relying on us. Dad insisted. Look at you, being too harsh on Benny. The kid just won an award, and instead of celebrating, you bring this up. Besides, which young person can afford to buy a house on their own these days? Mom countered. Mom and Dad started bickering again. The afternoon sun streamed through the windows of the new house, warming my body. Suddenly, a phrase popped into my mind. The sun is warm, and the days are peaceful. This was exactly why I chose to come home. Extra Chapter 20. After Mom passed away, I went back to the old house to sort through her belongings. Exhausted, I leaned against her bed to rest and somehow fell asleep. In my dream, I was back in my 20s. Dad had passed away early from lung cancer, and Mom, alone, had used her savings to buy Benny a house, pay the dowry, and cover the wedding expenses. But on the day of the wedding, Mom was in a car accident and woke up paralyzed from the waist down. The doctors said she would never recover. Benny, having just married, said it was inconvenient to care for our paralyzed mother and left her in my care. I couldn't neglect Mom, so I took on the responsibility. To better care for Mom, I rented a 2-bedroom house, but my meager salary couldn't cover the rent, our daily expenses, and Mom's medical bills, so I took on several jobs. Initially, Benny helped out with some money, but over time, he started making excuses. I asked my uncle for help, but he said he had his own grandsons to look after and couldn't do much. Thankfully, my aunt and my other uncle occasionally helped us through the toughest times. The financial issues were minor compared to Mom's psychological struggles. Hearing him call out to Mom, my heart sank. I spent my days wiping her body, cleaning up after her incontinence, massaging her legs to prevent muscle atrophy, trying to make her laugh with jokes, and pretending not to see her tears. We depended solely on each other. Day by day, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, the constant physical and emotional toll turned my hair white and my hands calloused before I even reached 50. I never married. As Mom lay dying, she held my hand, crying like a child. Shirley, I'm so sorry I let you down this life. Every day, I pray to God, hoping we'll have another life together, praying for a chance to make things right. Mom, it was my daughter who woke me up. Why are you sleeping while sitting? Be careful not to catch a cold. I was still in a daze, unable to stop thinking about the dream I had. My thoughts suddenly snapped back to that summer when I was 18. An unusual turn of events had changed the destiny of Benny, myself, and our entire family. So, that's how it was. Mom, you're crying. I miss Grandma. But when Grandma passed away, she told you not to be sad. She said she lived a fulfilling life without any regrets. Yes, your grandma did everything she wanted to do. Story 2. I lost my legs while saving Shiniji. 3 years into our marriage, he allowed his friends and family to insult me. When I confronted him, he pressed his brow impatiently and said, "They're just stating the facts. At that time, I never begged you to save me. No one ever asked if I wanted to be saved." All the affection I had in my youth turned to ashes in that moment. That night, I mixed sleeping pills into his milk and, while he was deep asleep, I severed his legs. I fell asleep holding him as he screamed in pain. When I opened my eyes, I was back 3 years earlier, before the accident. 1. Shiniji is really something, sticking with a cripple for 3 years. Bro, you don't get it. Maybe Iji has some weird fetish. This cripple in bed, if you ask me, Jianghe is too crafty. Trapping Iji for life with 1 leg. Laughter echoed from the private room at the hotel, and I stood outside, clenching my fists. When the laughter stopped, Shiniji's deep voice could be heard. Enough is enough. Someone feigned surprise. No way, you didn't really fall for that cripple, did you? After a pause, I heard the words, how could that be possible? What I mean is, I don't have any special fetishes. Dealing with a cripple every day is annoying. If it weren't for 3 years ago. Sister-in-law, what are you doing here? The door to the room opened, and all eyes turned to me, mocking, sympathetic, but not surprised. Shiniji looked momentarily flustered and guilty. He strode towards me, his tone full of blame. Don't you know your own situation? What are you doing here? Sitting in my wheelchair. I faced him and silently raised my phone. You told me to come an hour earlier. Shiniji had sent me a message saying he was drunk and asked me to pick him up. I was pushed into the room by Shiniji, who sighed with his eyes closed. Are you happy now? The men who had just mocked me raised their hands laughing. Sorry, sister-in-law, we were just joking. Wanted to see how much you care about Iji. They said the message was sent using Shiniji's phone by them, just to prove how much I loved him. Their disdain was unmistakable. I looked at Shiniji blankly. He seemed to have known all along. I didn't know you would really come. He saw through my thoughts and pressed his brow helplessly. Think about it, even if I was drunk, any friend could have driven me home. What could you do by coming here? I followed his gaze to my legs. What could I do? Probably just rush out in a wheelchair after receiving the message, troubling the taxi driver to lift me into the car. Thinking back, I was really foolish, eager to be their joke. Since there's nothing wrong, I'll go back first. I lowered my head and wheeled away. But someone stuck out a foot to stop me. Jiang-hee, don't rush off. It's not right to leave without having a drink. Someone handed me a drink, but I'm allergic to alcohol. I looked at Shiniji again, but he chose to remain silent, facing a room full of spectators. I silently took the drink. Haha, truly Jiang, holy shit. He gasped in surprise because I threw the drink in his face. You damn cripple, what are you doing? Ah. I switched on the wheelchair's electric mode and mercilessly ran over the foot that blocked my way. Behind me was a chorus of curses, but I ignored them and thoughtfully closed the door of the private room for them. 2. Shiniji caught up with me, showering me with accusations. Jiang-hee, don't be too much, they are all my friends. He reached out to pull me back. But I stopped him. They are your friends, but I'm your wife. Do you not see when your wife is being insulted and do nothing? Shiniji pressed his lips together, a subconscious gesture that showed he knew he was at fault but was unwilling to admit it. Suddenly, I felt it was all so meaningless. I wheeled myself towards the front door. It was only when I reached the doorway that he caught up to me again. They just speak without thinking. But what they said was true. I had no interest in Shiniji's lame excuses. Rubbing my moist eyes forcefully, I tried to keep my voice calm. Let's get a divorce. Shiniji was stunned, immediately objecting. No, I can't divorce you. Puzzled, I looked at him. Why not? I had heard it with my own ears. He said he didn't like me. I used to deceive myself, thinking that although his friends didn't really accept me, his love was enough for me. Hearing those words today made me realize how foolish I had been. The evening breeze was chilly. Shiniji took off his jacket and draped it over my legs. It's my fault. Those were just drunken, nonsensical words. Don't believe them. Anyway, we're not getting a divorce, alright. Wrapped in Shiniji's mint-scented presence, I couldn't hold back my tears. He pushed my wheelchair down the bustling street. I'll take you home. As he pushed me leisurely along the night street, he seemed lost in thought, not even noticing a pothole in front of us. After I voiced a warning and he apologized, silence fell again. I hesitated before speaking. I want you to know, if it's a burden, if you don't love me, we can get a divorce. I had loved Shiniji for 10 years, but that didn't mean I'd cling to him desperately. Shiniji sounded unhappy. I've told you, we're not getting a divorce. Xiaohe. I closed my eyes and stopped talking, memories flooding back. 3 years ago, the moment the laboratory ceiling collapsed. I instinctively pushed Shiniji out of the way. I saved him but got hit myself, losing consciousness. That day, I had planned to confess my feelings to him, to conclude my 7 years of unrequited love. When I woke up, the first thing I saw was Shiniji's red eyes. Jiang-hee, are you out of your mind? Who asked you to meddle? I tried to speak, but my throat was hoarsely dry. I wanted to tell him it was okay because I liked him and it was my way of repaying the kindness of the Shin family. My parents died when I was very young, and without the Shin family's help, I would have had a tough life. Trying to get out of bed to pour myself a glass of water, I realized I couldn't feel my legs. Guilt flooded Shiniji's eyes even more. He took my hand. From now on, I'll be your legs. Jiang-hee, let's get married. I must admit, At that moment, happiness overwhelmed me. Okay, Shinji. I've actually liked you for 7 years. Shinji tightly held my hand and said nothing. And I unconsciously ignored the reluctance in his eyes. In the morning, Shinji had already left. There was a glass of warm milk he had left for me on the bedside table. I've been busy at the company recently. Don't wait for me for dinner. I took a sip of the milk. It was sweet. I've never liked drinking sweet milk. The clattering noise outside the door was followed by a loud shout. Sister-in-law, good morning. It was Xingyi's cousin. I sighed deeply, thinking this was truly a big problem. Xin Yuyan affectionately wrapped her arm around me, her eyes full of sarcasm. Sister-in-law, you really know how to cause trouble for my brother. At yesterday's gathering, there were several important contacts my brother needed to win over. Your outburst really ruined him. What should we do now? Sister-in-law, I looked at Xin Yuyan calmly. You can tell Xinyi to divorce me. After the rush of happiness faded, I could sometimes feel Xinyi's helplessness. He always kept a certain distance from me. His friends weren't like that with me at first. I understand that they were only speaking the words Xinyi couldn't, so, I've said more than once that if it's because of a life-saving grace, there's no need for it, we could get a divorce, but he always refused. Xin Yuyan scoffed. You don't think that my brother refuses to divorce you because he likes you, do you? She forcibly pulled me into a wheelchair, and I struggled helplessly. What could a cripple resist? She chuckled in my ear. Come on, let me show you something interesting. The interesting thing Xin Yuyan referred to was Xinyi intimately dating another girl. Through the glass window of the couple's restaurant, I saw Xinyi tenderly adjusting a stray hair from the girl's forehead. The love in his eyes was nearly overflowing. Xin Yuyan pursed her lips. See that? That's the person my brother really likes. I didn't understand. Then why doesn't he divorce me? It's not me who is clinging on, Xin Yuyan angrily said. Isn't it because you took it upon yourself to use your life-saving favor to blackmail my brother? If he divorces you, what would he become? An ungrateful person. You pretend to be generous, but isn't this all your own scheming? I don't understand why everyone thinks my saving Xinyi was a ploy. I lost my legs, but he lost his freedom. The people inside were too focused to notice me outside the window. I laughed and wheeled closer. Gently tapping on the glass, Xin Yuyan didn't expect me to do that. Her face stiffened. What are you doing? It's funny, it was she who brought me here. Yet she only allowed me to watch and then suffer in silence. She was too late to stop me, and the two inside noticed us. Shock, panic. Xinyi quickly appeared in front of me. Jianghe, let me explain. He didn't know what to say, and glared at Xin Yuyan. Who let you bring her here? Xin Yuyan pouted unhappily. I feel sorry for the real sister-in-law, especially since you two have been in love for years. I stood there dumbfounded. In love for years. But before I tried to confess, I had indirectly asked Xinyi if he had a girlfriend. He said no, otherwise I wouldn't have mustered the courage. Jianghe, you go home first. Xinyi scolded Xin Yuyan, then called a car for me. Wait, I raised my hand to stop him. I want to talk to that lady inside. Jianghe, Xinyi frowned, clearly displeased. I gently pulled his hand. You'd better listen to me, otherwise, I don't mind shouting about catching a mistress in public. I'm disabled. And I've seen too many strange looks over the years. I'm immune. The only ones who will be embarrassed are you. Xinyi's frown deepened, but he must care about the person inside, and the next second, he pushed me into the restaurant. Is this your wife, the one who saved you back then? The girl seemed to know me. She propped her head with one hand and smiled at me. Hello, my name is Lin Suisui, Yiji's first love. She behaved like the others, showing no malice toward me, yet it was all malicious. Yiji, why don't you take your cousin to sit over there? I'd like to have a chat with Miss Jiang. With just a few words, she took control of the situation. Xinyi and Xin Yuyan sat not far away, looking over at us with worried eyes. Miss Jiang, Lin Suisui leisurely stirred her coffee. You know, if it wasn't for you, I would have been the one marrying Yiji. I didn't know. I told her, I've never seen you in his circle. I had no idea he had a first love. Lin Suisui looked up, her eyes somewhat resentful. We were in a secret relationship because of my family background. Yiji said his family would never agree. Only Yuyan supported us quietly. We were in this secret relationship for 2 whole years, ready to confront our families about it before the accident happened. Unfortunately, you came into the picture. No wonder Xin Yuyan hated me so much when she found out I was going to marry Xinyi. But how could that be my fault? I asked him more than once if he had a girlfriend. He chose to hide it, and after the earthquake, he chose to marry me. Lin Suisui seemed to guess my thoughts and chuckled lightly. Are you curious why he insisted on marrying you? I looked up at her, my intuition telling me that the answer would not be pleasant. Because he found your secret diary of unrequited love, Jianghe. Lin Suisui's tone was bitter as she spoke. He didn't find it earlier or later, but just after you lost your legs and were unconscious, in front of the Shin family elders. And you say it wasn't intentional, Miss Jiang. My mind went blank. So he had read my diary. Shiniji initially pretended not to have seen it, but Shin's aunt saw it first. The elders meant well, I was raised in their eyes, and the Shen and Jiang families had been old friends for many years. So that day, Shin's aunt asked him, do you like Jianghe? She thought, if both had feelings, it wouldn't be bad for them to be together. Unexpectedly, Shiniji thought it was pressure from the elders. I will marry her. He gave up Lin Suisui under what he perceived as pressure and married me. So that was it. I thought about how I had excitedly opened my heart when I learned Shiniji was going to marry me. It felt like a joke. He could divorce me now. But he hasn't. That's what I couldn't understand. Lin Suisui showed a mocking smile. Because you are useful. Iji is at a critical period for a promotion. How would it look if it got out that he abandoned his lifesaver, Miss Jiang? You've already put him in a difficult position once. Don't make it hard for him a second time. Such scheming. Who knows if the death of your parents was retribution? Ah, I couldn't hold back. I threw the coffee in her face. She could say anything she wanted, but she should never have brought up my deceased parents. Jianghe, what are you doing? Shiniji quickly shielded Lin Suisui in front of him. I pointed at her. She insulted my parents. Lin Suisui was in a sorry state. Tears spinning in her eyes. I didn't. I was just explaining our past to her. It was her. Shiniji looked at me angrily. Apologize. I stared at them for a long while. She laughed. Okay, before I apologize, can I say something to you? Shiniji didn't speak, which meant he agreed. Come closer. I'll only tell this to you. He walked over and slightly bent down. Slap. I slapped him with all my strength. Let's get a divorce. Shiniji's face turned utterly dark. Jianghe, I've told you. We can't get divorced, so it's about preserving your own face and reputation. But this time, I'm not willing to compromise myself for his sake. Then wait for the lawsuit. I turned my wheelchair to leave, but was forcefully pulled away from it. I was thrown to the ground. Shiniji's eyes blood red. Divorce. Who would want you when you're a cripple? I looked at him incredulously, unable to believe these were his words. Was I born a cripple? Shiniji was annoyed. Yes. You are my savior because you saved me. Please, was I begging you to save me? Did anyone ask if I wanted to? I would rather be the one disabled. Do you know how much guilt this has caused me? How much have I lost because of this grace? Do you know? He lamented the pressure he felt owing me his life. I wish you hadn't saved me. I stared at him blankly, a faint stench wafting in the air, under the immense humiliation. I lost control, seeing this. Shiniji quickly carried me back to the wheelchair. Look at yourself. What can you do without me now? He looked at me with disdain and covered me with his jacket. I'll take you back. You need to calm down. Shiniji called a car for me, driven by a plump middle-aged woman. He had instructed her in advance, giving her a little extra tip to help me back upon arrival, perhaps sensing my poor mood. Before leaving, she gave me an encouraging gesture. Girl, there's still hope in life. She probably thought I might consider suicide, but I won't, because just half an hour ago, I received a message from a stranger. It was a screenshot of a chat. Bro Shen, your wife is determined to divorce you. It seems you can't maintain the devoted husband act with President Gu anymore. But no worries, if one path is blocked, we can take another. Do you remember President Chi I mentioned before? He loves playing with disabled people. Jianghe fits perfectly. Since she's divorcing you anyway, you can use this chance to catch her cheating. That way, you won't have to bear the stigma of abandoning your lifesaver. Tomorrow night at 9. Don't say I didn't give you a chance. He said a lot, and Shiniji's reply of okay left me completely hopeless. So cruel, blaming me for saving him, pressuring him, and still squeezing the last bit of value out of me to pave his way. I don't know who sent me this message, but whoever it was, I need to thank them. Xiaohe, I'm back. Shiniji returned, drunk as a lord. He staggered over and squatted in front of me. I'm sorry, I was a jerk during the day. Can we not divorce, please? I looked at him calmly, showing a gentle smile. Okay, really, I nodded, handing him a cup of hot milk. About today, I was also at fault. Drink this milk, sober up. I booked tickets for the Maldives for tomorrow. Shall we go on a trip together? Shiniji first panicked, then became bewildered. Let's talk about it tomorrow, alright. I smiled as I handed him the milk and watched him drink it. The drug acted quickly, and Shinichi collapsed to the ground unconscious as I expected. It's indeed troublesome when someone can't walk anymore. It took me a whole 2 hours to sever Shinichi's legs. He woke up halfway through, and his frantic screaming forced me to stop and stuff a towel into his mouth. He shook his head wildly. I quickly reassured him, "It's okay, I won't kill you. I just need your legs. After all, you don't really care for them, so why not give them to me?" He made a whimpering sound, probably begging for mercy. I pasted the chat log onto his face, and he finally quieted down. Left only with pain and despair, as dawn broke, I finally managed to chop off his legs, and my knife was dulled. Shinichi passed out and woke up several times. After I finished, I removed the towel from his mouth, and he was barely breathing. "Jiang, never mind," I stuffed it back in. I didn't want to listen. I realized too late that my life was ruined the moment I lost my legs. Since he wanted to destroy me completely, I had to destroy him first. I lit the charcoal in the room and fell asleep holding the sobbing man. It was good, at the moment of awakening, to remove a beast with a human face from this world. I didn't expect that I could still open my eyes. The numbness in my legs made me widen my eyes in shock. I was reborn, back to before the accident happened. I jumped up suddenly, startling everyone else in the lab. "Junior sister, are you okay?" I stared at my legs and responded perfunctorily. I was back in my second year of grad school. Initially, to get closer to Shinichi, I chose the same major as him and even managed to join the same group, but then that accident made me give up my studies. Feeling the strength in my feet, I trembled with excitement. It was May 8th, 1:27 p.m., 10 minutes before the ceiling would loosen and fall. In the past, I had pushed Shinichi aside to save him, but ended up getting crushed by the ceiling myself. "Jiang-hee, what's wrong?" A pair of large hands touched my forehead. It was Shinichi. "Do you have a fever? Do you need me to help you take a leave?" I instinctively avoided his hand, and there was a hurt look in his eyes. Our strange behavior caught the attention of others. Are the little couple fighting?" Usually, I always followed Shinichi around, and since he neither accepted nor rejected me, everyone joked and called us the little couple. "No, he has a girlfriend now. I have nothing to do with him," I quickly denied. Feeling unlucky to be involved with Shinichi in this lifetime, seeing how quickly I refused and even mentioned his secret girlfriend, Shinichi was slightly stunned. He lowered his voice. "Jiang-hee, is there some misunderstanding between us?" I looked at him and suddenly understood the weirdness between us. At this moment, Shinichi did have a girlfriend, yet he was still ambiguous with me, even unwilling to admit it now that I had pointed it out. Was he looking for a thrilling romance while not wanting to give up the benefits of my affection for him? So the person I had liked from the beginning was rotten. "Be careful," a shout interrupted my thoughts. The ceiling started to fall just like in my previous life, with Shinichi right in the center of it, and I was just on the edge of the falling ceiling. In my previous life, I had pushed Shinichi out of the way without regard for myself. This life, I quickly ran away from the danger. "Xiaohe." Shinichi incredulously called out to me. The next second, the ceiling came crashing down, and after a cry of alarm, Shinichi passed out. Out of a sense of duty, I still called emergency services for Shinichi. The doctor said that Shinichi's legs were ruined, and from now on, he would be confined to a wheelchair. I barely managed to suppress my laughter. "Jiang-hee, why didn't you save me?" When Shinichi awoke, his voice was hoarse and tearful, as if I had betrayed him. "You could have pushed me away." I tilted my head and said, "Shinichi, stop pretending. I know you're back too. Before we got married, Shinichi never called me Xiaohe, and just now, he was asking why I didn't save him." Caught in his act, Shinichi's face turned red. He had planned to stand on moral high ground to induce my guilt. I sat next to him and gently patted his leg. "Shinichi, your legs are useless now. Do you remember what you told me in our past life? Was it me who begged you to save me? Did anyone ask if I was willing? I would have rather been the one disabled." I smiled at him. "You didn't want to, right? Well, congratulations, you got your wish. You don't have to feel guilty because of me. Now you've just lost your legs, but you can live openly, without forcing yourself to carry unnecessary burdens." Shinichi was stunned, his face a mix of colors as if a palette had been overturned. "Jiang-hee, how did I never realize you were crazy? Can't you tell when someone is just venting?" His expression matched exactly how he arrogantly claimed he didn't need my rescue in our past life. If I saved him, he blamed me. if I didn't, he still blamed me. I couldn't hold back my anger and slapped him, knowing I'm crazy and still talking back. Want to get your legs chopped off again? Hearing my words, Shinji suddenly shuddered. Too many things had happened in quick succession. And he had almost forgotten how he had died tragically in his past life. I was out of my mind. I've always disliked women like you. It's better not to be forcibly tied down in this life. He was struggling to regain his dignity. 10 minutes later, Aunt Shin arrived, looking exhausted. Iji, Uncle Shin couldn't come back from a business trip abroad, leaving her to bear this terrible news alone. Auntie, don't be too sad. At least he's still alive. Being alive is what matters. I offered her symbolic comfort. In our past life, she wasn't particularly bad to me, but neither was she very good. Before I married Shinji, she truly treated me like a daughter. After we were married, she did genuinely feel sorry for me, but that sympathy couldn't withstand the passage of time and her own son's size. So, when Shinji's cousin bullied me, she chose to turn a blind eye. Jeonghee, be careful with your words, Shinji said anxiously. He didn't want Aunt Shin to worry. But now he couldn't even turn over by himself. Xiaohe, his father and I are busy. Thank you for taking care of Iji. Aunt Shin sobbed, holding my hand. I know you have feelings for Iji. Given the current situation, she broke down crying again. I understood her concerns. She was worried no one would want Shinji, just as she had worried about me back then. I spoke openly. Auntie, I only see Shinji as a brother. Besides, Shinji already has a girlfriend. Aunt Shin looked incredulously at Shinji. Is what Xiaohe said true? Shinji pursed his lips tightly. He hadn't planned to reveal this so soon, but I had forced his hand. Aunt Shin looked incredulously at Shinji. Is what Xiaohe said true? Shinji pursed his lips tightly. He hadn't planned to reveal this so soon, but I had forced his hand. I thoughtfully added, I've already notified her to come. I don't want to be the third party who breaks up a relationship. I hope you understand. As soon as she finished speaking, Lin Suisui, dressed in white, appeared at the door. Her reaction was very similar to Aunt Shin's, shocked and crying. Aunt Shin had seen Lin Suisui before and didn't really like the girl, thinking her family background, having 2 older sisters and a younger brother, was not a match for her son. Given the current circumstances, Aunt Shin couldn't say much more and excused herself to go buy food. Iji, the sight of Lin Suisui, her eyes red from crying, was particularly pitiful. But Shinji avoided looking at her. Jeonghee, you shouldn't have called her here, with me like this. How can I? He couldn't continue as the bedsheet showed a light yellow stain spreading. Lin Suisui instinctively took a step back, a hint of disgust in her eyes. Shinji caught this reaction, and it was a blow to his pride. Jeonghee, he pleaded with me with his eyes. I was unmoved. What are you thinking? You can't possibly expect me to handle this. Your girlfriend is here. Is this appropriate? After scolding Shinji, I turned to Lin Suisui. Miss Lin, I've heard bits about your love story. If love means a lifetime together, then you should start learning how to care for someone with disabilities now. Under my urging and moral coercion, Lin Suisui struggled to help Shinji up. The bathroom door slammed shut, and I didn't miss the resentful look on Lin Suisui's face. I smiled, recalling when I faced adversity. They were indulging in their lofty, unattainable romance, separated by circumstances, under the pressure of daily life. Could they remain as steadfast? After briefly explaining things to Aunt Shin, I left. Shinji had his mother and his girlfriend. He certainly didn't need me, an outsider, to interfere. I resumed my normal life, attending classes, free to walk and run as I pleased. The long-lost sense of freedom was intoxicating. I heard that Shinji, stubborn as ever, was diligently undergoing rehabilitation every day. But to no avail. Aunt Shin contacted me every now and then, her words laced with dissatisfaction towards Lin Suisui. Essentially, she was not as caring or attentive to Shinji as I had been. Shinji wanted to reach out to me, but unfortunately, I had blocked all his contacts. 3 months later, while dining with my fellow students, I unexpectedly ran into Shinji and his group. Lin Suisui was pushing Shinji's wheelchair, both of their faces looking grim. Lin Suisui was busy scolding Shinji, unaware of my presence. What are you doing here as a cripple? Isn't that embarrassing? Her tone of disdain starkly contrasted the gentle demeanor she used to show. It's no wonder Lin Suisui lost her temper. I had discreetly learned that the romantic love Shinji thought they shared was a long-planned scheme by Lin Suisui. Coming from a poor family, she hoped to change her fate by marrying a man with a wealthy background and not too much intellect. Shinji had appeared at just the right time, but unfortunately, he had been intercepted by me in his previous life. As for this life, feeling despised, Shinji's face turned red. If I don't come, how would I know what you and your friends say about me? Lin Suisui scoffed. That you're a cripple, a man who's no good anymore. Are they wrong? Look at yourself. I even have to help you use the bathroom. What else are you good for? If it weren't for getting away from that family, who would want to be with a cripple like you? Shinji trembled. What are you saying? Lin Suisui ignored his murderous gaze. If I had known how troublesome it is to care for a cripple, I would have chosen a different target from the start. Shinji roared. Let's get a divorce. It's good that the wedding hasn't happened yet. It turned out they were already legally married. It seemed Anshin knew her son's situation too well and no longer allowed him to be choosy. Lin Suisui punched him without any courtesy. Divorce? Do you think I don't want that? Serving you for 3 months almost made me sick. If it weren't for your damn mother, do you think I'd willingly marry you? Once the demure facade was removed, she showed her true, fierce colors. Yet, such a person is a perfect match for Shinji. I couldn't help but laugh out loud, and they finally noticed me, seeing me. Lin Suisui quickly dismissed Shinji like a hot potato. Perfect timing. Take your brother away. Originally, when Shinji and Lin Suisui were secretly dating, he always introduced me as his sister. Lin Suisui glanced coldly at Shinji. I'm going back to the party. Don't cause me any more trouble. Lin Suisui walked away without looking back, leaving me and Shinji face to face. What he's experiencing now is exactly what I went through back then. Shinji, do you remember what your friends used to say about me? Shinji turned his head away, his body trembling imperceptibly. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I cut him off. You knew everything. It's just that you didn't care because it wasn't happening to you. Come on, don't be upset. If you ask me, Lin Suisui is actually quite decent to you. She just scolds you a bit. She didn't hand you over to some old man with peculiar tastes. Right, I meant to comfort him, but his face turned paler. No, Xiaohe, listen to me. I didn't mean to really hurt you. I had everything arranged. I had scented incense burning in the room in advance. He would have passed out before he could touch you, and the next day you just had to pretend. He was frantically explaining until he saw my icy, piercing gaze. Actually, by that time I had already started to fall for you. Slap. I slapped him with all my might, feeling that one slap wasn't enough. I hit him several more times. Jianhe, Shinji was shocked and angry, but now he couldn't fight back. I held back my anger. How dare you talk about love? Sending me to another man is love. Letting your friends insult me is love. Cheating is love. You don't love me. You just realized that your first love doesn't care about you anymore since you're disabled, and all you wanted was someone who is completely devoted to you. Do you think someone as selfish as you deserves to talk about love? From that day on, Shinji never came looking for me again. My days became more carefree. And occasionally when people mentioned Shinji, they said he was not doing well. I heard Lin Suisui was decent to Shinji in front of Aunt Shen, but behind his back, she did nothing but beat and scold him. I guess Shinji must really love Lin Suisui to endure such treatment without a word. Shin Yuyan called me a few times, treating me like a confidant. That Lin Suisui, I used to think she was kind and gentle, but she turned out to be so malicious. Jianghe, it would have been great if you had married my cousin. I just laughed. Don't talk nonsense. Shinji and I are like siblings. On the other end of the phone, Shin Yuyan pouted. You're not really siblings. And just took care of you for a few years. You're not even on the same family register. Jianghe, why don't you disrupt the marriage? It's set for the beginning of next month. Hearing her say this, my eyelids twitched. In a moment of clarity, I remembered that before my marriage to Shinji, Shin Yuyan hadn't been so malicious toward me. After I married Shinji, she suddenly changed, becoming closer to Lin Suisui instead. Now that Lin Suisui was marrying Shinji, could it be, seemingly casual? I asked, Yuyan, you don't happen to like... Before I could finish, she repeatedly denied over the phone. How could that be? How could I possibly like my cousin? After a long silence, Shin Yuyan hesitantly said, well, maybe a little, but he's my direct cousin. It definitely can't happen. So I want to find a good sister-in-law for my cousin. Jianghe, won't you really consider my brother? I smiled, brushing off the question as I saved the recording. I'll be there. Shin Yuanyan let out an excited cheer. A month later, I showed up at the wedding venue. When I arrived at the wedding, Shinji was being pushed out by Lin Suisui to greet the guests. Feeling humiliated, Shinji gritted his teeth. Did you really have to bring me along? Lin Suesu slapped the back of his head. Shut up or I'll rip your mouth apart. Their relationship had deteriorated to this extent. It was only thanks to Aunt Shin's desire to torment Lin Suesu that they were still getting married. When Shinji was well, she would never have allowed someone of Lin Suesu's background near her son, but now that Shinji was disabled, no well-matched family wanted their daughter to marry him. Aunt Shin initially preferred me as her daughter-in-law, but a few months ago, Shinji was determined to be with Lin Suesu, and she couldn't ask me to take over anymore. Lin Suesu's family loved money. Right, Aunt Shin simply gave them 300,000 in one go to buy Lin Suesu. After taking the money, her family happily handed over Lin Suesu's household registration book. Initially, Lin Suesu, motivated by money, was willing to care for Shinji. Only after being tricked into marriage did she realize she was sold to the Shin family, and Aunt Shin wouldn't give her a penny more. Divorce, don't even think about it. Isn't it a love that shakes the heavens? Then lock it down. Shinji saw me. He looked at me from afar, his gaze lingering on my legs, showing longing. Aunt Shin never showed up. It was a blatant slap in the face to Lin Suesu, but I didn't understand. Had the Shin family also given up on Shinji? Sitting at the relatives' table, Shin Yuanyan saw me and quietly gave me an okay sign. This was her plan. In the middle of the wedding, she planned to reveal all the moments Shinji and I shared over the years. According to her, Shinji had feelings for me, and he would surely regret and possibly cancel the wedding publicly when the time came. This way, not only could the wedding be disrupted, but Lin Suesu's face could also be slapped hard. However, she conveniently omitted that this would also put me in an embarrassing situation. Her calculations were too loud, and I had to quietly make a few adjustments. Hey, isn't this Shinji's little follower? A familiar voice. I turned around and saw his brother who used to make things difficult for me by Shinji's side. Look at that gaze. Still can't forget the disabled. Huh, you don't have some special fetish, do you? His words were frivolous, disrespecting both me and Shinji. If Zhou Hao doesn't want to eat this meal, then get out. Shinji appeared beside me at some point, rebuking his former brother. Zhou Hao looked at us contemptuously. You still think you are someone, seeing you disabled. I pity you. Let me tell you, your dad has already brought your 12-year-old half-brother home. I was surprised to hear that the Shin family still had an illegitimate child. It seemed that Uncle Shin had given up on Shinji. And as for Aunt Shin, never mind. Zhou Hao, get out. Shinji was on the verge of rage, but unfortunately, he couldn't stand up to hit him. Instead of leaving, Zhou Hao casually sat down. Get out, Shinji. What are you causing now? Lin Suesu came over and kicked Shinji's disabled leg angrily. Aren't I embarrassed enough today? Lin Suesu then started hitting and scolding Shinji. Forget it, sister-in-law. Give some face to young Master Shin in public. Zhou Hao laughed loudly. Besides, an old lover is here, he said, turning his gaze towards me. I didn't want to create a scene now, but Zhou Hao was just too despicable, in this life as he was in the last. I grabbed a bottle of red wine from the table and splashed it at him, warning him in his stunned gaze. How you insult Shinji is your business, but keep your mouth clean about me, otherwise, I don't mind exposing all the shady things you've done behind the scenes to the Shin family. Take for example, President Lin's preferences. In my past life, Zhou Hao loved to introduce various types of girls to those executives with deviant tastes. President Lin was one of those favors he found for Shinji. When I mentioned President Lin, Zhou Hao instantly became as docile as a quail. Xiaohe, Shinji's voice choked as he called out to me. I'm sorry, I really didn't know how hard life would be after becoming disabled. His confession was suddenly interrupted by the big screen turning on. I saw Shin Yuanyan stand up excitedly. 23, Jianghe. Why don't you go and stop the wedding? It's set for early next month. Yuanyan, you wouldn't like. How could I possibly like my cousin? Okay, it's a bit, but he's my cousin. It's definitely impossible. That's why I want to find a good sister-in-law for my cousin. Though no images were shown on the screen, my conversation with Shin Yuanyan was clearly heard by everyone. The already chaotic wedding became even more disorderly. Shin Yuanyan screamed for the playback to be stopped, and Lin Suisui stepped forward aggressively and started hitting her. She was cursing loudly, and several people couldn't stop her. I couldn't help but marvel. Indeed, how could a girl raised in a rural family with a preference for sons over daughters be a delicate flower? Thinking back to our conversation in the restaurant, how tranquil and content she appeared, it all seemed so ironic to me. I quietly left the scene amidst the chaos, with Shinji's calls echoing behind me. 24. I heard about what happened next from others, after Shin Yuanyan's disgraceful intentions were exposed. Her parents confronted her brother in a huge argument. They believed it must have been something Shin did that led Shin Yuanyan to develop inappropriate feelings. Already disappointed in Shin, Uncle Shin completely gave up on him. Even Aunt Shin reluctantly abandoned her own son. Thankfully, the mother of his illegitimate child had passed away. They could just treat him as their own son and nurture the relationship. Lin Suisui was on the verge of madness, her reputation destroyed. And known as a shrew, she wanted a divorce, but the Shin family wasn't going to let her go. They blamed her for ruining their son. If it weren't for her seducing Shin, he and I would have been a couple. Given my feelings for Shin, how could I not have saved him in that accident? If anyone had to lose a leg, let it be me, and let Shin marry me. Such an opportunity for good publicity was naturally welcomed by the Shin family. Their scheming was meticulous, and my last shred of sympathy for the Shin family vanished. 25. Half a year later, Shin committed suicide. Before dying, he took Lin Suisui with him. It was said that Lin Suisui had connected with Zhou Hao, who quietly introduced Shin to some old men with peculiar tastes. Afterwards, when Shin woke up, he completely lost his mind. He cried admitting his mistakes, saying he had been blinded back then, while cursing Lin Suisui to a terrible fate. In his delirium, he spoke of changing time once more. Determined to choose Jianghe this time, he hired someone to sneak into his house and replace Lin Suisui's usual health supplements with sleeping pills. While Lin Suisui was asleep, he set the house on fire, burning himself and her together. 26. After Shinyi's death, I received a letter. It was sent by Shinyi, presumably filled with unproductive confessions. I didn't even bother to open the envelope, throwing it straight into the trash. Starting over, impossible. Heaven doesn't grant wicked people another chance, and even if it did, no matter how many times we repeated, I would never waver for him again. I have clear life goals, and I will only strive to better myself.